performances that you've seen from Chelsea. I mean, the Brighton game.
You can't defend what Chelsea have done.
Why are they giving Caicedo an extra year?
You cannot defend what Chelsea have done. There is nothing positive to say about the way the club has behaved. And the club has been run, the club have played this season. There is nothing positive.
You can have 3 or 4 maybe that you see in a team that are not doing it, but there's so many games this season. I've seen Chelsea players, every single player is not running around. Yeah. Every single player is not trying.
Gabby,
every single
the
player is not
statistics are
tracking
clear.
back.
They have been outrun in every single Premier League game. After 10 games, the alarm bells should be ringing.
And in fairness, you can moan about the way the club is run. You can moan about the model. You can moan about the revolving door of managers, which we were told, by the way, when they hired Graham Potter, they weren't going to be that club anymore. They've got worse. But there still has to be individual responsibility. There still has to be professional pride. And there isn't in that dressing room.
You got Fofana getting taken off in a recent game.
I have to say,
he's garbage.
He's got a history of falling out with everybody.
Incredible,
bad signing. What? Signed him off the back of a long-term injury, and guess what happened? Yeah. He got injured.
He didn't play for nearly 2 years.
Who could have seen that coming?
But even look at all Chelsea's centre-half options. Listen, Chalobah, decent player, not at the level where Chelsea want to get to. Badiashile, not good enough. The Sassy, who's at West Ham on loan, not good enough.
He's actually played quite well for West Ham.
I know, but where Chelsea want to get to, all of those centre-halves, you're looking at it and saying, that's not a back line.
Especially when you spent 2.5 billion quid.
How much do all those players cost?
They signed to go.
talkSPORT Sports Update powered by the Nissan Van range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
With your headlines, at just coming up to 3 minutes past 10, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. It's understood West Ham will contact the PGMOL for an explanation after their late equaliser against Arsenal was disallowed. But former Premier League ref Chris Foy's told us justice was done.
I think what you've got to do is identify the ones that are really clear. You know, those acts that have a clear material impact. But this one yesterday, as you quite rightly say, was a foul on David Raya.
Pablo had his arm across the Arsenal keeper while Trossard and Rice appeared to be holding West Ham's attackers. The Hammers will be 4 points from safety if Spurs beat Leeds live on talkSPORT tonight. Meanwhile, it's up for grabs now. Is that the title decided, Perry Groves?
It's not done and dusted. Obviously, there's 2 games to go with Burnley at home and Palace away. But let's be honest, that was I think the defining game of Arsenal's Premier League season.
Now, talkSPORT's Alan Brazil has thanked medical staff, friends and family as he recovers from a life-saving operation. Big Al says he'll be back on air soon. There's more on this at talksport.com. Breaking news from the WSL. Arsenal's Spanish centre-back Laia Cadena is leaving at the end of the season. More on the Women's Football Show tonight. talkSPORT 2, 10 p.m. And after both brave fighters took an absolute battering, we can look forward to Wardley versus Dubois 2, probably next summer. Here's our boxing expert Gareth A. Davies on Daniel Dubois' 11th round stoppage.
It should have been stopped 2 rounds earlier after about 9. Because they're heavyweights, they're not weight draining. I think there's more of a resilience in the body, and this guy Fabio Wardley is something else. But I think we'll see them fight again, and I think it'll be a stadium this time.
There's loads more on an all-timer of a fight on talkSPORT's boxing YouTube channel.
talkSPORT News.
Sir Keir Starmer's getting ready for a speech he hopes will save his political career and position as Prime Minister. And the number of us doom-scrolling is on the rise. Sangeeta's got more at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Sort your new tyres this spring at a time that suits you best from the comfort of your home or work 7 days a week with our mobile tyre fitting service. Conditions apply.
Patchy rain across central areas, moving southward. Sunny spells elsewhere, but a few showers over northern Scotland and eastern coast of England where it's breezy, below average temperatures.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan and Martin Keown, and we're live on talkSPORT. So a dramatic finish in East London. Was this the weekend Arsenal won the Premier League and the equaliser that never was? A brilliant advert for VAR? Meanwhile, advantage Spurs in the battle for survival. Are the walls now closing in on West Ham? Also today, are we heading for a final day title decider in Scotland? Spygate again in the playoffs. Is it cheating? Will Champions League football at Bournemouth be the perfect parting gift from Iraola? And as Dubois beats Wardley in a brutal encounter, do you want to see it played out again? This is Jim White, Simon Jordan and Martin Keown, and we are live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement.
Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
So, while we've got a lot to get into regards West Ham and Arsenal, and Daniel Dubois beating Fabio Wardley, down at Brighton Pier, Martin. Simon, I was at Brighton against Wolves at the weekend.
Good.
So I'm on Brighton Pier yesterday. It's £1 to get on the pier. And then those coin pushing machines, so you get involved in, when you push your 2 pence in and you want the other coins nudged out.
Love that game, yeah.
I love it, Martin, but it's a total fix, isn't it? I mean, none of you think you're about to get an avalanche of coins and you get nothing. Nothing back. It's the house always wins. It's so damn frustrating.
Built a TV show around it, didn't they? Ben Shepherd was doing it. Tipping Point, wasn't it, on ITV?
Yes.
Or whatever it was.
That's right. Yes. Right. Well, they were right to jump on that because I came away feeling swindled, feeling hard done by. Honestly.
How much did you put in there, Jim?
Well, I think.
Are you linking this back? Are you linking this back to West Ham fans? I'm trying to.
I'm going to get to it eventually. I exchanged 50 pence for £2 pences, 2 pence pieces, and I was all over the place when I left. I must admit, on each occasion, Martin, I thought it was about a win, and it came up short.
It's all about timing, that.
It is.
Yeah.
All about timing. Daniel Dubois' timing in the end won the day, did it not, Simon? You were there. Brutal was right.
It was, yeah, a lot of shock and awe in there in terms of Daniel being dropped in the first 10 seconds. I think that silenced the auditorium. And then the sheer sort of brutality. That's what I always thought it was going to be a very brutal fight. Someone was going to, when I was talking to the two boys on the Friday night, the sentiment I used was someone's going to get beaten into submission.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And the debate will rage on, and we'll talk about it, and Ben Davidson will come on in various shows, and Don Charles is coming on tomorrow and talk boxing, talk about all the vagaries and peculiarities. But what Daniel Dubois put on a hell of a performance. So did Fabio. But Daniel had so many questions to answer in people's minds, and he reclaimed a belt.
Yeah,
and he must be given all the praise and credit for that.
Well, Daniel Dubois' father, Stan Dubois, has spoken to me just before we came on air, and we're going to bring this interview to you shortly. But some very interesting observations, Simon, from Stan Dubois.
Sure there is.
You were saying to me, and Saturday night was no exception on that front.
Yeah, I'm quite frankly, I'm a little bit more interested in hearing from Don Charles. But the fact is that Stan's a big influence in his son's life. Daniel, whatever his father may or may not say, Daniel's performance was remarkable on Saturday. He may have been dropped in the first 10 seconds. He might have been anxious going into a fight. But what he did is he overcame adversity. And in life, I think people that can overcome adversity are a very rare commodity in society. Most people succumb to it and use it as an excuse for not achieving things. Daniel had to go deep into the trenches in an auditorium that was very pro-Fabio. When Fabio came in, you've got two fighters that have got no affinity with Manchester. Brilliant fan base, brilliant 19,500 people inside that auditorium. Frank put on a hell of an event. Great fights before it.
Yeah.
So it was a really great. The Co-op Arena is a really good indoor stadium. It's really well set up.
Yeah.
And so when Fabio came in, he was kind of the fans' favourites. And so then, and of course, Fabio looked fabulous, walked out in his Ipswich Town regalia. Mark Ashton was there, the Ipswich Town chairman. I had a conversation with him. And Daniel walked straight into a right hand. Was down in 10
11 seconds.
Yeah.
We're going to hear from Stan Dubois later on, nonetheless. And Frank Warren, who promoted both fighters.
He did.
Is going to be joining us live as well this morning. Arsenal Invincible Martin Keown. Was this the weekend Arsenal won the Premier League?
Well, let's go back to tipping point, which what Simon said to describe those pennies you were putting in that machine at the weekend. It was an extraordinary game, Jim. The drama involved. Obviously, the VAR decision. You know which camp I'm in on that. There's actually 3 fouls on the goalkeeper, Raya. It was quite extraordinary. His shirt was being pulled. There was an elbow across his face, and his arm was being held. So I think they came to the right conclusion. why it took so long. Not completely on board with that.
To get the right decision.
Yeah, I think maybe if they're not sure, but it seemed quite certain to me. And it was justice in the end for me. And there's been an awful lot of noise around it. For me, it's like people with convoluted, twisted reasons for not wanting Arsenal to be champions. And they're not champions. They still have 2 games to go, Jim. This is probably only just starting now as a debate. But we were debating this.
Who are the twisters?
I'm not going to name names, but there are people who just find it tough watching Arsenal, on their way to hopefully some success.
I mean, if the goal had been the other way around, there'd be uproar from Arsenal about the nature of this goal being disallowed. So you have to get continuity. It's very easy to be objective about a situation that's gone your way, which is not objective, it's subjective. And it was wonderful that Mikel Arteta was able to now tell everybody how wonderful referees are and how difficult their jobs are. Now, if the decision had gone against him, he probably wouldn't have had that mentality. I think.
What's your opinion? I think
on the balance of probability, it was right that the goal was disallowed.
There's nothing else to discuss.
Well, I think ultimately there were a variety of situations going inside the box. You listed 3 fouls on the goalkeeper. I could list you 3 fouls on West Ham's players in the build-up to that set of circumstances. But I think in the balance of probability, it's in a slight margin. It's grey. I think the goalkeeper made a 4-act play out of it when he went down. But I think on the balance of probability, by the circumstances that we now judge ourselves by, not because I think the principle of how this goalkeeper should be put under pressure, there should be challenges. They get away with murders a lot of the time. But on the balance of probability, I think so. The moment Fernandes in that game, watching that game, the moment Fernandes missed that chance, I was sitting with somebody. I turned around and said, Arsenal will win this game 1-0. Because you could just see that moment when West Ham opened them up. He should have scored. Brilliant goalkeeping. Kept him in the game, which you have to have. And then Arsenal did their job. They won the game. This was a bloody hard game for Arsenal.
Oh, yeah.
And that is the making of champions. They had to do what they had to do.
Just to get back to that, so Ødegaard gets into that little pocket on the right-hand side, and he's quite magnificent. Now, and Trossard scores for the first time in, 26 games? So these two have had difficult moments. And this is going to be about the squad if Arsenal win it. But Ødegaard, in that little pocket, kept probing. I actually said, I'm sat at home and I'm saying, we've got them. We've got them. This is going to be a goal. And bang, it goes in.
That's right.
It just had that feeling.
Should I tell you why this idea that Martin has, that people can't acknowledge it? Because there is a lack of objectivity from Arsenal pundits, whether it's him, whether it's Ian Wright. They're so seeded in their support, they're further for their team. And I understand why, because he played for the football club. But I think it's also incumbent upon people that are in the media to be objective and balanced and take constructive criticism. Whenever I'm talking about Crystal Palace, I bought and paid for that football club. I didn't get paid to play for them. So I'm able to be objective about it. And that's the reasons why I think certain people in the media get a bit fed up with the Arsenal pundits because they are...
So who's got skin in the game then? These detractors seems to come from former Manchester United players, doesn't it? Or somebody who's got a foot in the camp of Man City.
You didn't want to name them a minute ago.
No.
So I'm talking about the reasons why...
So you can't say that no one...
If I push back against you...
They've all got a skin in the game.
If I push back against you...
There isn't a neutral.
I'm listening to you not being objective because I understand why you're not objective. You're fully committed to the Arsenal camp. Ian's the same. But if you're looking from the outside in, and it might be you didn't want to name them. You're now saying it's the Man United camp.
I believe that there was justice served yesterday. It would have been an injustice.
I don't think it was justice. I think it was the right decision.
Yes, it was. Eventually. Ultimately, it was.
I don't think it was justice because I just think it was the right decision.
But you want the right decision. That's why
the disappointing thing. Yes, of course. The disappointing thing is that it takes 4 minutes to get to that point. Which
the disappointing thing is it's Arsenal that have actually profited from this decision.
That's where you let yourself down.
Put your hand in the air.
That's where
you think the narrative is, Martin?
I think whether people like it or not, this is Arsenal have been the most discussed prospective champions of all time. The Schmeichel comment, which I accused him of being deranged, that was 4 games into the season, saying that Arsenal were ugly. They were just a set-piece team. So that was setting an agenda right at the beginning.
Well, Schmeichel, that's across the board. To say about the awarding of that, or the non-awarding of the penalty. We'll come to that after the break. We'll hear from Mikel Arteta after the break as well. Because the short and the tall of it is this. Arsenal have gone 5 clear with 2 games to go. They host Burnley next before finishing away to Palace. Martin, I don't think you gave me an answer to this, but in a sentence, give me an answer. Was this the weekend Arsenal won the Premier League?
We'll have to wait and see, won't we?
Of course
we will have to wait and see. There's still 2 games to go.
If Arsenal,
it was nearly...
Are you worried about Burnley?
Come on. The hard yard.
I know you don't disrespect Annie.
I know you don't want to jinx things, But in the real scheme of things, in a grown-up conversation, the hard yards have been done against West Ham. If you cannot be,
what's the narrative you're looking for? If you're sat here the day after the Burnley game, what's the narrative you want? Arsenal to mess up? No, that's a huge story.
From a media point of view, if you want an intriguing story,
do the job. Do not be distracted by all the noise.
There you are.
You're at the
Arsenal
wheel.
do their job.
You're busy at the wheel. Don't look behind you. Keep going.
You couldn't want, really, when you think about it, you couldn't want better games. You've got Crystal Palace playing in a European Conference tournament and probably not having anything to play for, and Burnley, who are rubbish. So you couldn't want any better opportunity to be able to seal the deal.
It's disrespectful for Palace, although they have a major game 3 days later.
Talk about Aston Villa then.
City.
Was it disrespectful for Aston Villa fans when they didn't turn up against Spurs last week?
We're going to get into all the events, all the goings on in the London Stadium yesterday. And again, I'll put it out there this morning, so Arsenal fans get ready. 03717 223344. Was this a weekend Arsenal won the Premier League? You tell us at 10:15 on this Monday morning, Monday, May the 11th, where fireworks are bound to... Real Madrid striker Kylian Mbappe, who has faced criticism from his own fans after taking a trip to Italy on a mega yacht with his partner. He's recovering from a hamstring injury he suffered on April the 24th and was given some days off last week. He arrived back in Madrid on Sunday, shortly before kickoff, when Madrid played away against Espanyol. Many fans thought Mbappe should not have taken a break and should have stuck with the team, going through a difficult time at this particular time. Alvaro Arbeloa said, well, in their free time, each player does what they see fit, and I don't get involved with that. Mbappe's representative said part of the criticism was based on an over-interpretation of elements related to a recovery period, strictly supervised by the club, without reflecting the reality of Kylian's commitment and the work that he puts in every day for the team. So that was Mbappe and Real Madrid. But then there's Liverpool. What was going on with them? Danny's old club. Liverpool captain Virgil van Dijk had to defend some of his teammates who were criticised for being abroad last week on a day off as they headed into the Manchester United game, a game they ultimately lost by 3-2. It was put to Van Dijk that some of his teammates had gone on holiday last week. He says, I'm not sure it was a holiday, it was a city trip. But I think if you're one day off and you don't have many days off, then you decide what you want to do with your family. We're not kids. Everyone's an adult. I wish we had a couple more days off at times because I think it works both ways. Monday morning. Everybody getting on in here. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan, and Arsenal Invincible Martin Keown, and we are live on talkSPORT, live with Selco. It's where the trade goes. So much to get through this morning. It's difficult to know where to start, but of course we're starting off, as you might imagine, on the events at the London Stadium yesterday. And Arsenal left with all 3 points, so they are heading towards the Premier League title. Of that, there is no doubt. But before we hear from Arteta, let's talk about the equaliser that never was. So Trossard put Arsenal 1 up. And then Callum Wilson thought he'd equalised after his shot crossed the line in the 94th minute. Following a VAR check, the goal was disallowed. Pablo was adjudged to have fouled Raya, the Arsenal goalkeeper. The incident was shown 17 times. And it took 4 minutes and 17 seconds from being scored, in inverted commas, to being disallowed. Former Manchester United goalkeeper Peter Schmeichel, he thought the goal should have stood. Have a listen.
Decision today, it's just so wrong on so many levels. What really makes me angry is that Arsenal would never be top of the league if that's a free kick. That's how they've scored so many goals, by blocking people, holding people, doing all kinds of things. And then we get to this point, and it takes VAR 5 minutes. Darren England, the VAR, 5 minutes, and he runs it start over again and start over again and start over. That in itself puts so much doubt into that decision that it cannot be a free kick. It cannot. I think it's so wrong. I just don't understand why all of a sudden that's a free kick, because it's not been for any teams all the way throughout the season. All this, it's just crazy. And that decision today, it's just so wrong on so many levels.
And that's coming from the man who's regarded as the Premier League's greatest ever goalkeeper. He was speaking to Viaplay at the time. What's your take on it, Simon? I saw you nodding to much of what Schmeichel was saying.
Some of it, yeah. But I mean, some of the observations he makes, there was empirical observations to be able to support it. You can see, I saw a whole montage of footage of Arsenal set pieces this season where similar things have been done and similar fouls have been committed and similar circumstances in the box have been committed and free kicks haven't been given. But that is whataboutery. Technically and factually, the decision was probably right. The fact that it hasn't happened earlier on in the season is actually a different discussion.
Yeah.
And it's about refereeing standards rather than the individual decision. So
there's a still a bit on YouTube.
Yeah.
He's got right around the throat.
Yeah. I mean, if you put it in a still.
He's holding his arm.
But like anything, for the purpose of a conversation, whatever argument you want to advance, if that was a still that didn't suit Martin's argument, he'd be saying it's a still. Because it's a still that suits Martin's argument, it'll be something that he concurs with.
I'd like to think I'm a fair man.
Not when it comes to you're not objective about.
This is a just decision, and it was remarkable. Is that a goalkeeper who would have been affected by this? If it had happened to him, he'd have been screaming from the rooftops that that's a foul. If he's still playing and he gets fouled to that degree, come on. It's ridiculous. It's because he's angry because it's Arsenal.
Maybe you're right. But hang on, but Schmeichel played in a different time, so you can't say that, because if Schmeichel was playing at a time,
did he not play for Man City? Did he not play for the two?
Yeah, he did, but he played at a different time.
The current rivals, the former
I would imagine that the impact upon goalkeepers and the ability to challenge in the box was probably slightly a bit more prevalent 20 years ago when he was playing than it is now. You can't go anywhere near a goalkeeper now. You can't do anything.
And that's where it's changed, Simon.
So that's why it's changed.
No, that's actually incorrect.
Say that Schmeichel
no. It's changed because they're actually. This is where the argument is, if there is an argument, that goalkeepers
are more protected.
No. They've tried to take the goalkeepers out of the situation this year, and it's been done quite well. But there was no disguise to the West Ham situation. You know, you look at that. There's three fouls on him.
People will make the argument prior to that event even happening, there was a litany of fouls committed by Arsenal players.
Yeah, but we've seen that all season. It's been like a wrestling match.
So,
but Arsenal have stopped putting the ball in the box. They've stopped until
one set of fouls more prevalent than another.
Until yesterday, they stopped putting the ball in the box, Arsenal, because they've been wrestled to the ground. So they've now gone with a short corner, which was creativity, imagination.
Maybe people are adapting to it and ultimately have and brilliant for them.
What probably needs to happen next season is if your opponent is marking you in the box, holding on to you, not even looking at the ball, and the ball is delivered. Absolutely. I think maybe we're looking at an immediate red card.
Agreed. But we shouldn't be also.
Let's do something radical to change that.
The wonderful utilisation of VAR shouldn't take 5 minutes to come out of an outcome, because that doesn't help the argument. It doesn't create the scenario.
Does it matter?
Well, it does to some extent, because if it's a situation where you want to get to an outcome and you feed the narrative about debate about, if it's not that concise. If we are in a grey area, which one trumps? Is it?
I agree with that. It should be
offensive
quicker.
or defensive?
It should be quicker, but they got to the right decision in the end.
In an ideal world, there you go.
Yeah.
Finish it. Say that again. It got to the right decision.
Yeah,
in the
so,
end.
and that's
so it
obviously,
doesn't matter if it was 4 minutes, if it was 8 blinking minutes.
I think it does the look,
and all
the
this
aesthetics, because then the
I've heard
argument
over the weekend.
The argument comes: if it took you that long, is it really clear and obvious?
It got. Are we agreed it got it right?
Oh, I believe 100%.
But I think
there's 3 fouls on the goalie, Jim.
As an advocate and a campaigner,
so why rush it and get it wrong?
The worrying thing for me was it takes so long, and it has to be 3 fouls
because we're not playing NFL and we're not playing games that are not steeped in fluidity. If VAR was brought in to make a instantaneous reaction that was as quick and as concise as it could possibly be, and not to disrupt the game.
No,
I think
Simon,
it would take 5 minutes.
Massive ramifications at the top and at the bottom of the Premier League. This was a decision, no matter how long it took, that they had to get right, and they got it right.
Interesting.
And this is what amuses me on Sky yesterday with the pundit. Took so long. They should have got to the decision quick. All right, really? What the hell difference does it make about how long it took? It was either right or wrong, and it was right.
Well, you know, you've got to be able to see these things quicker. You know, I know they have to map it out. But no, Jim, no, they have to. They're seeing these things. Come on, in the moment.
In an ideal world,
you know, if you're on the pitch, you have to see the pass. You make the pass.
Not in an ideal world. In the sophisticated world that we should be able to live in, there should be an ability to get there quicker, so that the game, the circumstances, and everything about the spontaneity and value of this game, which has created such a unique sport around the world, isn't destroyed by technology. Because that's not the object of the aim. It never was designed to turn it into battleships. That's not what it's supposed to be.
If you found the evidence, be confident, make the decision quicker.
But in summary, the corner chaos needs addressing. This is what you're saying. And you even throw in, Martin, a red card.
Well, the wrestling is really annoying. It used to happen to me when I played. I remember doing it playing against Nesta, and he was marking me from set pieces, literally trying to lock me into a wrestle. And I just pulled his headband off, and he was scampering around the ground looking for it. I did everything I could to get away from him, and I thought then it was illegal. So people do it. It's annoying, Jim. So that part of the game has to change. But we don't want to change. We don't want to rip it up and start again. People saying, let's not allow 4 players into the 6-yard line. Come on, we can't change it to that extent. But we have
start
to
sending players off. Then you'll have broadcasters intervening about the quality of the game, because when you start sending players off, the whole composition of a match changes.
There has to be some jeopardy. There has to be some jeopardy. Maybe an immediate yellow if you're not facing the ball when it comes in.
Let's put it out there this morning. I want to hear from Arsenal fans. Was this the weekend Arsenal won the Premier League title? And this corner chaos we've been talking about, it needs solving. How do you solve it? Martin's thrown in the idea of a red card. That would concentrate the minds of certain individuals when it comes to a situation like that. But how do you sort this corner chaos? Give us a call, 03717 223344. And on the time aspect, are you with me? Does it really matter how much time it takes, as long as the decision in the end is the right one? 03717 2233.
I'm going to go Friday after work pint, number 5, mate.
Number 5.
There he is. So do you want it? You ready?
Yeah, go on.
In number 5.
Number 5.
Friday after work pint. You've worked hard all week. You know, you want to go there, just have that first pint. You've earned it.
Number 4.
Beer garden pint. This can happen any time of day.
Good pint.
Any time, any day of the week. Yeah. Saturday afternoon, meet the lads. Sunday afternoon.
Good pint.
Right, sun's got to be
Number 3.
Football pint. The football pint's in. You meet your lads, meeting up Saturday afternoon or Sunday, whatever it is. First pint, in you go. Hey, we're going to get a beer again.
Yeah.
Number 2.
The holiday pint. Mr. O'Hara wants that one. Yeah. When you get there, you've done the journey. You've gone through everything you need to do passport, security checks, the journey. You get out, you smell, you feel a bit grubby. Don't care. You get on the, wherever you get to then you get to your destination. Bags get dropped. Sit there. You've earned this point.
Yeah, it's a good pint.
Good point.
That's my favourite.
There you go.
Number 1.
Airport. It's the only one, mate. Airport pint. It's the only one. You're there. It doesn't matter what time. Not with lads. No. Doesn't matter who you're with. If you're with me, 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, 3, whatever it is, that's the point.
Do you know what's disappointing in this whole, ranking that we've done?
Have I missed something?
Yeah, well, your missus. There's not one pint that involves your missus. Not one. Where's Hannah in this?
I'm at the airport with her.
No, you're not. You're not at the airport with her. You're with Razor Ruddock.
No, hold on.
You're not.
Hold on.
Hannah's involved in none of these pints.
No, hold on. I'm at the airport with her, definitely. I'm definitely with a holiday pint. I'm definitely with her at football. I'm definitely not.
It was a VAR call that might have settled the title and relegation. Gabby Abonglahor isn't sure Callum Wilson's equaliser should have been disallowed.
We'll have a quick look at it and say, foul. It's chaos in the box, the goal stands, because there's so many fouls going on. Okay, if Pablo fouls the goalkeeper, what about Declan Rice, who rugby tackles Mavropanos? Okay, is it a penalty?
After a 5-minute delay, it was decided. Pablo's arm across Raya meant Arsenal held on to beat West Ham. The Hammers could be 4 points from safety if Spurs beat Leeds, live on talkSPORT tonight. Meanwhile, it's in Arsenal's hands now. Is that title wrapped up? Perry Groves.
It's not done and dusted. Obviously, there's 2 games to go with Burnley at home and Palace away. But let's be honest, that was I think the defining game of Arsenal's Premier League season.
Now, several Championship clubs are checking their CCTV for Southampton spies. They've not contested a charge after someone was caught filming Middlesbrough training, with the Saints hosting Borough in the Championship playoff semi-final tomorrow night. Also at 0-0, Hull go to Millwall, live on talkSPORT 2 tonight. Elsewhere, Marcus Rashford's keeping his cards close to his chest on his next move, but has called his stunning free kick to help Barcelona beat Real Madrid and wrap up the La Liga title the perfect way to end. And Norway's Christopher Reitan's picked up his first PGA Golf Tour victory at the Truist Championship. Alex Fitzpatrick, who had been leading the event heading into the final day, eventually ended 4th.
West Ham 0, Arsenal 1. Leandro Trossard in 83 minutes. So, was this weekend Arsenal won the Premier League? Arsenal 5 clear now with 2 games to go. They host Burnley next before finishing away to Crystal Palace. Is it as good as done? Certainly looks that way. But the equaliser that never was, considering the ramifications riding on the decision at the top and at the bottom, should it be viewed as a great advert for technology? You tell us, because it appears they got it right. 03717 22 33 44. Harry is a big West Ham fan. Harry, good morning. What's your take on the events yesterday?
Well, very disappointing, heartbreaking to kind of have a decision like that at the end. But I just find it quite baffling that no one's talking about the 2 fouls committed on Pablo prior to his arm going up to David Raya. I mean, you can see from the camera angle that the ball comes in and Trossard is, first of all, pulling his right arm away, then turning away from the ball and bear hugging him away. And there's also the picture of Gabriel pulling his shirt before he's getting to Raya. No doubt he puts his arm onto Raya and, rules these days say that's a foul. But the only reason his arm is up there, he's trying to get to the ball. The ball's coming straight to him. He's getting held by 2 players. and you think, how is it that foul? You know, realistically, that should be a penalty to West Ham. You can't obviously say give one foul, can't give one foul, can't give the other, give the goal.
Yeah, has Harry got a point, Martin? Here's Martin, Harry.
If you're looking at that, that's a penalty to West Ham. And Martin just said about 2 minutes ago, you know, if you're holding on to a player not looking at the ball, then he was saying that should be an instant red card and a penalty.
Harry's got a point, hasn't he?
Harry, when that ball comes into the box, what is the West Ham player doing? He's got his arm, hasn't he, across Raya, the goalkeeper.
But what I'm saying is the ball comes in. Trossard is holding on to. If you look at the angle from behind, Trossard is holding on to Pablo's right arm. He then turns around, looking away from the ball, bear hugging Pablo, and then you can see the picture. There's other images. Gabriel is also holding on to Pablo's shirt at the same time.
I don't think that is clear. Harry, what you're saying? I'm watching it now. I'm watching it now, Harry. I don't see that.
It's so blatantly obvious.
I don't see that. What is very obvious. Let's stick to the main thing here. Is the goalkeeper being fouled by Pablo?
Pablo's arm comes up. I do not. But
can you not see him, Harry? Whatever you're looking at, can you see him hold Raya's arm?
You can see it as soon as the ball comes in. If you look at the kind of, when you look at the ball from the other end of the pitch from behind, as soon as the ball comes in, Trossard is grabbing on, as everyone does. He's grabbing on to Pablo, and then he's bear hugging him, holding on to him. Gabriel holding his shirt. His arm is up. He's trying to get to the ball. The ball's coming directly to Pablo, and he cannot jump.
Harry, the pictures that VAR are using.
So, Martin, does the foul on the goalkeeper always take precedent?
Well, I think it supersedes in this situation because he literally, look, if you're a centre forward going through on goal and I hold onto your leg, you can't hit the ball, can you? So you can't hold a keeper's arm. You go too far with that. You've got to create disguise. If my job is to disrupt the keeper, I can't hold onto his arm. I fully expect then the referee to pull this up. And that's what's happened in this situation.
Arsenal fan Richard's waiting to talk to us. Was this the weekend, Richard, that Arsenal won the Premier League? Good morning.
Good morning, gents. Pleasure to speak to you. First time caller.
Morning.
Yeah, I think we probably did. I think with the Burnley game not meaning anything to them, it could be a potential stumbling block. But the main thing is, no, not one person, including Shea, even spoke about Havertz getting the foul. That's the first foul in the box. If you're going to talk about all these other fouls, you have to talk about the first one. The first foul was Havertz getting took out by Sergic. It's as simple as that. But the main thing I want to talk about too is, why is there no talk about Man City? There was 3 potential talking points in that game where VAR let Brentford down, and it all just seems to be Arsenal. Madness. It's to me, if you're going to talk about VAR, you have to talk about all the clubs, not just the one that's sitting top of the league.
Regards this incident with Pablo and Raya, Richard, at the end of the day, should this be viewed as a very good advert for technology, in spite of the fact it took over 4 minutes?
Listen, see, at the end of the day, there's no doubt about the fact that it was a foul in the keeper. There was no doubt that the Arsenal players fouled the West Ham players, but you have to be realistic about it. The first foul in that box was on an Arsenal player, so if you go right back to the very start, it's a free kick for Havertz.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter either way, but I do agree that it's taken far, far too long to come to the decisions. Like, that didn't need 5 minutes yesterday. Stevie Wonder would have seen the fact that Raya was fouled.
Okay, Richard, thanks for the call. Thanks very much for your time. West Ham fan Chris is waiting to speak to us. Where do you stand in this, Chris? I have a good idea, but on you go.
Good morning, Jim. Good morning, Simon and Martin.
Morning.
Jim. Listen, mate, before I went yesterday, I went with my guide dog, and my personal assistant, he booked with me 6 months ago as an Arsenal supporter. So I had a commentator, and I got his view at the end of the game. All I can say, gentlemen, this VAR is killing the game. I know it went against us yesterday, but let's put it to you, boys. It's killing the entertainment. You know, the fans don't like it. You have a VAR for clear and obvious. Yes, we need it, but for the taking 5 minutes to decide it was a foul. But if we're going to talk about a foul, you know, a West Ham player got fouled before. So if he was onto the VAR, look at the screen, we're going to say, right, a West Ham player got fouled, it should have been a penalty. So I'm putting
but Chris, but probably, Simon, you'll probably tell us again why we've arrived at a situation that we have VAR.
Yeah, I mean, I think absolutely the world's biggest game that's played by more people in the world than any other sport shouldn't be the only one that's excluded from technology as a version of circumstance to be able to get the best outcomes. This deployment is not good enough. It's not good enough. It needs to be better. It needs to be as simultaneous and instantaneous as it possibly can be. So, of course, I agree with the premise of having VAR technology to be able to get the outcomes that the game has driven itself to. We drove it there, punditry drove it there, managers drove it there, players drove it there. It needs to have it there because every other sport on the planet has it. But I absolutely agree with the fans that it needs to be deployed better.
I think it was one of those where if you're in the VAR, me and you are in the VAR room, is there enough evidence for us to overrule this goal that there was a foul? And clearly there was enough evidence. So they did everything right. They just needed to do it quicker.
Yeah. King, Arsenal fan, good morning. They got to the decision in the end. It took them a while, but it was the right one, right?
100%. There's a few points I want to mention as well, yeah? This whole, VAR's killing the game and da-da-da-da. It's not killing the game. It's how it's being used. We need VAR for decisions like this so we can actually have a magnifying glass on certain things that's happening, which the referee may not see or may need to take a second look at. Secondly, the Arsenal players were fouled first in the box. Everybody was fouling each other, but the fact of the matter is, when the ball's coming in, it's coming in directly to Raya. So Raya's been impeded, and he's not able to get the ball. That's simple as that. Everybody else that's getting fouled and getting pulled down, they're nowhere near the ball.
King, we've kind of done it to death, but I'll put this to you. You're 5 clear, 2 games to go. City have a game in hand at home to Palace. But was it the weekend Arsenal won the Premier League?
You could say that, yeah. You could say that. You could say that, to be honest.
We could be looking back, King, couldn't we, on this? Obviously, it was significant, but Jim always wants an answer, definitive answer. And I think it's still in the melting pot. We saw that yesterday. That's what is making this such a drama. You could say that VAR is actually adding to the entertainment.
Well, let's reframe the question then. If they don't win it from here, what do you say about that?
Well,
you'd have to turn around and say, Christ on a bike. If you don't win it from now, in terms of beating Burnley and beating Crystal Palace, they've got nothing to play for either side, then you don't deserve to be champions, do you?
And so what would you be doing then on that Monday afterwards? Would you be coming in on that bank holiday so you can give it to me?
You'd be saying,
would you not bother turning up if Arsenal win it?
It's not about giving it to you. It's about holding things to account. No one's really interested in your personal objectives.
So we're so close to this. So at the end of the day,
the question is, do you now think that Arsenal should now win the league?
They're in as good a position.
So if they don't win the league now, that would be relatively inexcusable.
Well, why is he when we get?
And if City were in this position,
just a minute,
I'd be saying the same thing.
Why were you?
If it was a City bias.
Why were you not saying that at the beginning of last week? When Man City were in that position, when Man City get a point,
because I'm delighted.
Only a point.
I'm delighted
against
Everton. Because I'm delighted that Man City aren't going to win the league. Who wants a monopoly?
Who wants it?
That? Well, why wouldn't I do? I'm not frightened of saying things. You seem to be unwilling to say certain things. You don't want to name pundits.
No, because I've been in this journey before.
Yeah, because
they're very flippant. It's very flippant
to what people are going to say.
Well, it's very flippant to dismiss.
Put your proverbial on the block and say it, and people criticise you or they won't criticise you.
I think quietly behind the scenes.
Have they won it, Martin?
No, they haven't won it, Jim. They've got 2 games to play. Look at Man City, what we're dealing with, and creating an energy. Will Pep be there? Won't he be there? Bernardo Silva hanging up his boots to go somewhere else. There's a drive and an energy to get to the finishing line. You're up against Pep here. Let's not discount that. You have to earn this.
You're not up against Pep. You're up against Burnley and Crystal Palace.
That's it.
And if you don't beat Burnley and Crystal Palace,
no, it's like a tug of war.
No,
you're on that rope, and that rope's starting to come Arsenal's way.
Right. Meantime, after 14 straight seasons in the top flight, are the walls now closing in on West Ham?
Jason Cunningham was alongside Jeremy O'Hara on the Sports Bar after the game. He said he can see Arsenal shutting PSG down in the final.
Teta will not allow a basketball match. He won't. He won't.
Is it going to be a tactically defence then?
No, it won't be tactically defence, but I think that Arsenal, they're measured. Arsenal control games. They don't. Now, Arsenal are brilliant at doing that. They can be at times dull to watch because of that, but in a one-off game, who cares? I think Luis Enrique would probably want it being more open affair. I don't think Arteta will allow it.
Not the game we were expecting last night. You pointed out there, I said over 4.5 goals. I did think they're a bit well done to PSG and Luis Enrique for shutting out the game.
Yeah.
I mean, that proved there's another side to them, right?
Yeah, they can dig in when they need to. I mean, it helps they've got wonderful footballers, and I guess when you get a goal so early after 3 minutes with that attacking front line, it doesn't make the job easier, but when you've got the pace of Kvaratskhelia and Dembele, Doué can run, you've got Vitinha in the middle of the park, it does help the fact that you could just sit in there and defend, because the counter-attack, no one's catching you. You're being behind them. So, yeah, it's gonna be fascinating now to see what happens in the final. PSG was probably the team I didn't want. I'd prefer Bayern, but now it's PSG. You've got to go out there and put a performance in. It's going to be difficult, and I've said it before. I think Arsenal, to win this fixture, potentially may have to be perfect in terms of they may have to put in the best performance they've ever put in under Mikel Arteta in any competition.
Is that the only way you can see Arsenal winning, by playing the best they've ever played?
I think they're going to have to think defensively. They're going to have to be rock solid. No,
well, they are pretty much like that anyway.
Yeah, but there's still times you give it. Like if you give that sort-off opportunity to Dembele, he ain't missing that.
No, you're right.
Get ready to get that winning feeling with talkSPORT Win, because we're giving one lucky listener the chance to win a massive £25,000. Oh my God. Go to talksport.com/win to enter now, and you could win 25 grand in your hand, tax free.
Oh, that's incredible.
Get that winning feeling courtesy of talkSPORT Win.
Thank you very much.
Find out how to enter now at talksport.com/win.
Thank everybody, all the callers, all the texters, the tweets that are coming in here. It is quite uncanny, the number of you who want to be involved in the show, and we love it every single morning. We love it. We're not done yet. We're not even through the first hour. Arsenal Invincible Martin Keown is here. Good time to ask him. Martin, Arsenal fighting for a Premier League title and a Champions League title, so that would be some double if they pull it off. But would that achievement surpass what you guys did, the Invincibles? Ian Wright suggested yesterday that if Arsenal do this double, then it would be the greatest side in the club's history.
Well, it would probably be the greatest achievement. You can the semantics
would
of which is a better team.
Would they be better than
you're
you?
Just going to look at sometimes, you can win the Player of the Year award and not be necessarily the best player and you haven't won anything. So I'm kind of like, is this a better team? Look, let's have this conversation, Jim. At the end of the season, hopefully, if Arsenal got 2 pots sitting on the counter, it'd be a nice conversation to have. But they're nowhere near it yet. They're just on that race. They haven't reached that mountain.
If they were to win the double, would they be better than you?
We'll discuss it. I think they probably would be, because they would have achieved more than we did. I mean, let's be fair. The Invincibles tag was a consolation for a team that probably should have won the treble that season. We went out of the Champions League and FA Cup in the space of 4 days, and perhaps the FA Cup got in the way. I think actually when Arsenal went out the FA Cup this year to Southampton, as much as it hurt, it's actually made it a little bit easier for Arsenal. Now, they don't play now until next Monday because they're not in the FA Cup. And maybe by going for everything, it was stopping Arsenal from winning anything.
Oh, well, I think it's a reductive conversation from Ian Wright. The Times, is it the Times make the man or the man makes the Times? The difference in terms of what Arsenal... Listen, in terms of winning the Champions League, yes, of course, if the fact that they win the Champions League, it will eclipse. But this side of 2004, I remember my Palace team going up against them and nearly beating them before they lost to Man United. We drew 1-1 at Selhurst Park. And they were, in my view, one of the best teams that we've ever seen. And I don't think this Arsenal side that we've currently got can lay claim to being one of the best teams the Premier League have ever seen. But if it's achievements, where we come, when you close your eyes and forget about the team's performance and the style of play and some of the fair observations about the clunkiness of Arsenal this season, and you look at the two things that they win, the Premier League and the Champions League, you make the arguments.
Yeah, but you think about who Arsenal have to beat to get there. So Man City have been like incredible, haven't they? What have they won? 5 of the last 6 Premier Leagues. So what you're overcoming to get there, and then PSG in the final. So to do this and be the best ever, you deserve it. You deserve that tag.
I think that's right. And I'm going to be guilty of qualification, which is Martin won't like. But I don't think this is the same Man City side of 2 or 3 years ago that would have been relentless. They wouldn't have drawn it against Everton. They would have won that game. But if they beat PSG, winning the league is winning the league. Doesn't matter what the opposition is. You've got to win the league.
Yeah.
If they beat PSG as well, then this is simply remarkable because people will not have Arsenal beating PSG. I'm not going to have Arsenal beating PSG, and they won't beat PSG in an open game. They'll beat them in a game which probably isn't the most attractive, but they win the tournament.
And to do that, they've done it. They've not lost a single game in the Champions League.
So let's talk about West Ham. A West Ham defeat now means Leeds and Forest are safe. It's officially a 2-horse relegation battle between West Ham and Spurs. And Spurs play tonight against Leeds United, and that is live on talkSPORT. So, Simon, a relaxed and safe Leeds, is that a better scenario for Spurs than a rival still in relegation play?
Probably. I mean, look, I have always maintained the view that West Ham will get relegated. There's part of me that thinks there's a better story from a neutral point of view of watching Tottenham get relegated, because it would be a slap in the face for those that thought they could do better than the previous incumbent ownership or management. And a big team like Tottenham and Lincoln singing the songs about playing Tottenham in the Championship was always amusing. But I always felt that it would be West Ham. As far as Leeds are concerned, yes, they have nothing really to play for, but they'll have a travelling contingent of fans that are very passionate about their team. So I'd expect Leeds not to be able to step out of themselves and suddenly not turn up like Aston Villa did, which I thought was disgraceful and has given Tottenham this position, because De Zerbi can't have wanted anything better. He must want to live in the Midlands. He's got a Wolves team that couldn't hit a cow's backside with a banjo, and he's got Aston Villa decided not to turn up. He's got 6 points out of it. So in this instance, do I think it's likely that Spurs will get something out of this game? Yes, I think it's likely.
There's huge pressure on them, though, isn't there? You know, as much as I'm not going to say this is over, this is not over for Arsenal, and this is not over for West Ham, because they've been quite magnificent, Jim. That's the first game in 7 that they've lost at home since January the 8th, where they lost to Forest. When you'd have thought that's it, it's done, because they lose to the other team around them that they look. So they've gone on an amazing run, but Leeds United tonight, there's a little bit in this now, because professionally, they'd have thought they needed something. And the handbrake may come off. They may play with more freedom. And it's not equal pressure now, is it?
Yeah.
Because Spurs are fighting for their lives. They won't be a gimme. It won't be a gimme, but De Zerbi's done an incredible job in the last 3 matches.
I think, out there this morning must be thinking, how the heck are we finding ourselves in this position? Because since he moved to the London Stadium, a place that many of you don't like, West Ham fans, West Ham finished 11th, 13th, 10th, 16th, 6th, 7th, 14th, 9th and 14th. This time, they're looking at relegation. They've gone through managers like Bilic, Moyes, Pellegrini, Moyes again, Potter and Nuno. They won themselves a Europa Conference League trophy. But it all started when they made the move 13 years ago with such promise. This was how the now departed Karen Brady 13 years ago discussed the move to the London Stadium.
When I came to West Ham in January 2010 and embarked on a journey for the Olympic Stadium for West Ham, I had 2 things in mind. One, that it absolutely had to be a world-class football stadium. And secondly, our fixtures will always have priority over anything and everything else that happened in that stadium. I hope in terms of the first thing, by looking at the visuals and understanding what this conversion means post-Olympics, you get a real belief that when I said you could trust us, that we would deliver a world-class stadium where the seats were close to the pitch, where there was a roof that covered those seats, that would provide us with an opportunity to be in one of the best stadiums in the world. I think and hope now that you can see that, you could trust us and you knew you could trust us. There's lots of fantastic stadiums stadia in the UK, but there's only one Olympic stadium, gives us a real chance to grow our business commercially. And why would we do that? Well, we would do that so we can provide on the pitch the best team possible for our manager to go out there and win things for all of us. That's our ambition. World-class stadium with a world-class team.
World-class stadium, world-class team. 10 years yesterday, Simon, since West Ham's last game at Upton Park. So many of the West Ham fans have never, ever, ever been into the London Stadium. So many of them still don't want to play their football there, see their team play their football there. And really, when you look at it, what Karen said there, the fans can listen to it and have every right to take that apart.
Yeah.
What she just said.
I mean, look, the idea that
they're on the verge of the Championship.
Sure. The idea, and they've been there before, when they were at Upton Park. So let's pack it in about what the stadium's done to that. That was there before, previously. They got relegated previously. So it's been happened before. Sam Allardyce brought them back, didn't he? The stadium would have been taken by most football club owners, but the statements that Karen has made in that video that doesn't age well and probably didn't age at the time, after a week, was that they were going to bring a football stadium, and at no point have the fans ever accepted. If you went to Italy and you have a running track down the side of a football field, then they're used to that sort of scenario in certain grounds. Not in England, not with West Ham, not with the heritage of the football club and the way that they played at Upton Park. And so making these statements seems relatively ridiculous because they made it very little intention of creating the outcomes that really made it a football stadium. They took a commercial deal that most club owners would have taken because the opportunity was there to get a purpose-built stadium, a stadium that was already been built with a purpose for something else and repurpose it and get it for 2 and 6. Now, if West Ham were making lots of money, I'd say that ultimately Sullivan and whoever else were having it on their toes. But we can see from West Ham's accounts they're not making a lot of money, so they're deploying it into wages and personal. I mean, I think the worst decision that West Ham made was Pellegrini. I think that's one of the worst decisions they made. And obviously Potter to this moment in time, but Pellegrini came in there.
Wasn't it that David Moyes was allowed to leave?
Well, David Moyes put himself in a situation where he was put into a scenario with the fan base, where the fan base weren't having. David knew that the fan base wanted to see a better style of football, and he made a choice. And the previous argument was with David, they didn't have the players. When they go out and bought Kudos and some ball players in there, they still played a certain way.
Did they listen too much to the fans?
I think in the end you listen to the fans to a degree. Of course you do. But David Moyes, to me, I agree with you. I think David Moyes should have still been at West Ham. I was writing a newspaper article when he was being offered a contract in December 23 or whatever it was, saying that West Ham should be absolutely keeping Moyes. And subsequently, the contract was put to one side and then it was removed.
Correct.
And David has exited. And here they are now, but you've got an ownership model that's got David Sullivan in, which the fans are not having. Karen Brady has been involved with David Sullivan, and God bless his soul, David Gold, for a very long time, from when she was at Birmingham through to West Ham. She carries out the wishes of David Sullivan because that's who her paymaster is to some extent. And what she was doing there was trotting out the mantra that she believed to be something they could get away with. Because clearly, if you look at it and say, well, at no point really, despite my arguments with West Ham fans about pack it in and get on with certain things, can you make those sort of statements? And they made it before when they sold Payet and they said we want to be a top 6 side, and when they bought Robert Snodgrass from Norwich as a replacement. They make these sort of things and they make they become rods for their own back. But there's a variety of reasons. You've got a Czech billionaire that's bought into this football club that you would think was going to be some sort of intellectual capital behind the way it goes. He's too busy ruining the post office to be able to run West Ham. So you look at it and say to yourself, this is a tragedy for West Ham fans, but they have been here before. They've been here on a number of occasions. This is a regular guys for West Ham. They won I'd just say it is. They won the FA Cup in 1980 with Trevor Booking scoring as a second division team. But, they have been here on many occasions. We all know they think they won the World Cup.
Yeah.
But with due respect to it,
their loyalty is now being tested to the absolute limit.
They'll be behind the team, though. They'll be behind the team. They still play Leeds on the line. I'll keep saying it, Jim. It's not over yet. I'm not trying to pile pressure on Spurs, but tonight, it's in Spurs' hands now after what happened last night.
I'll put it out there as we hit the 11 o'clock, guys. I mean, West Ham fans listening this morning, and you heard what Karen Brady said 13 years ago discussing the move to the London Stadium. I mean, really, some of you out there will be saying, what a load of old crop we just listened to there. But where are you at now? Because after 14 straight seasons in the top flight, are the walls now very much closing in on your club, West Ham United? 03717 2233.
let me apologise immediately if there's any smugness or glee from my co-host today. But you are used to Alex Crook by now. But Gabby Agbonlahor is also very happy. Put your cigar down. Great performance. Well done. Congratulations.
Very much, thank you.
Do you reckon you could manage to be just a little bit humble because, you haven't won anything?
Yeah, we haven't won anything yet, but, Nottingham Forest fans, last Friday, the messages you were reading out, Sam, the callers, the direct messages on every possible social media platform I was getting, celebrating the fireworks. They had a concert after the game, only to get thumped on probably the most one-sided semi-final second leg you will ever see. Thumped. Couldn't get out of their own half. Light work for Aston Villa. Who's next?
I heard you having a go at the Arsenal fans this week, and Arsenal for having fireworks after they'd got through to the final in Budapest. I noticed, and I had pointed it out to you at least 3 times this week, that Villa have fireworks before every game, and they had fireworks before the semi-final last
fireworks,
night.
Mate. They're like sparklers that you have on your champagne when you're in a nightclub.
Might be on your champagne.
Yeah, they weren't fireworks. They're like little ones. What did the manager do after the game?
I don't know.
Emery?
It was definitely.
He clapped the fans for about 3 seconds and walked down the tunnel.
Okay, well, it was
Mikel
a champagne
Arteta
performance, wasn't it?
Was
last
doing
night?
the Haymack Arena around the stadium. They're doing a tour of the stadium. You know,
he's quite used to getting to Europa League finals, so that's probably why.
okay.
Is there not a small part of you that is worried that your legendary status is going to be diminished even further? Because surely you have to win something to be a legend at a football club.
I totally agree.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range, helping business owners to work better and live better. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 3 minutes past 11, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. We understand West Ham will ask the PGMOL why their late equaliser against Arsenal was chalked off. It's been dubbed the biggest ever VAR call. Former Premier League ref Chris Foy told us it was the right one because Pablo committed a clear foul on David Raya.
I don't see a corner kick taken in any game now where there isn't some form of physical contact. But when you've got that clear situation on the goalkeeper where he's not allowed to jump, his arm, Pablo's arms across his chest, he's grabbing his arm, he can't get to the ball. Yeah.
With so much grappling going on, Arsenal Invincible Martin Keown suggested some rule changes.
What probably needs to happen next season is if your opponent is marking you in the box, holding on to you, not even looking at the ball, and the ball is delivered, I think maybe we're looking at an immediate red card.
Agreed. But we shouldn't be also...
Let's do something radical to change that.
Well, it's emerged footballers, lawmakers, IFAB are believed that we will discuss grappling at corners after this summer's World Cup. Meanwhile, the Met Police made 4 arrests at the London Stadium, including 2 men on suspicion of assault. That's after a steward had their arm broken. Ahead of their first ever World Cup appearance, a Cape Verde player is being investigated by police in New Zealand. It's related to allegations of sexual assault at a hotel during the FIFA series in March. The new permanent memorial to Diogo Jota and his brother Andre Silva has been revealed by Liverpool. Jota and his brother died in a car crash last July. The memorial, Forever 20, features the lyrics to Jota's chant and will be built outside Anfield. And Daniel Dubois' dad's told White and Jordan he wouldn't have let his son take a beating like that, and says Fabio Wardley should have been pulled out earlier than Dubois' 11th round stoppage. You can hear Stan Dubois' chat with Jim White in full coming up on the show.
talkSPORT News.
In a speech designed to save his premiership, Sir Keir Starmer confirms plans to nationalise British Steel, and female sailors are getting a uniform redesign due to inappropriately placed buttons. Sangeeta's got more on that at 11:30.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, where we've got a wider range of premium tyres than Britain has rainy days. Visit your local centre or book at quickfit.com today.
Patchy rain across central areas moving southward. Sunny spells elsewhere. A few showers over northern Scotland, though, and eastern coast of England, where it's breezy, below average temperatures.
Get ready to get that winning feeling with talkSPORT Win, because we're giving one lucky listener the chance to win a massive £25,000.
Oh my God!
Go to talksport.com/win to enter now, and you could win 25 grand in your hand, tax free.
Oh, that's incredible.
Get that winning feeling courtesy of talkSPORT Win.
Thank you very much.
Find out how to enter now at talksport.com/win.
Good morning, everybody. 6 minutes past 11 o'clock. It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and it's Arsenal Invincible Martin Keown, and we are live on talkSPORT, coming to you live on your TV as well. Fire TV, Apple TV, Chromecast, Google TV, even Prime Video. It is a very good morning to Musa, the barrister, who I shared a train compartment with on Friday as I went over to the dentist in Brentford. And what an interesting chat you and I had, Musa. Big fan of the show, big fan of Simon's and Martin's. It was a great discussion, and thanks very much for your time. I'm glad we had it before I went to the dentist, because afterwards I might not have been able to speak to you. So much going on this morning. Spygate again in the playoffs. Is it cheating? And what is going on up in the north, where Celtic and Hearts, it seems, are going down to the final day? Do all roads lead to a final day title decider between the top two at Celtic Park, as Celtic killed off Rangers at the weekend in a game that ended 3-1 in Celtic's favour? For the moment, we're concentrating, albeit briefly, but we'll concentrate on them, on West Ham United, because at the moment it's got very, very bad for West Ham. After 14 straight seasons in the top flight, are the walls now closing in on West Ham United? Many of you calling in want to share your thoughts this morning. Alec is one of them. Big West Ham fan. Alec, you're first up. Good morning. Are the walls closing in on you, mate?
Morning, gentlemen. Thanks for having me on. I wish it was on better circumstances.
Sure, me too. Me too. What do you think?
I do think so, yeah. And to be honest, I know that it's not going to make headlines the same way that this VAR decision will, which I actually think was the correct decision in the end, to be honest, as painful as it is. But it's mismanagement that has led West Ham to this, and especially now the clubs in the Premier League are so smart and the middle classes are so good. I mean, Simon will know this as well as anyone. The way these clubs are run now, like I said, a few weeks into the season, this is going to be a bad year to be an underperforming Prem team, a non-newly promoted team, because you look at Brentford, Brighton, Bournemouth, Fulham, Palace, like these are all better run football clubs than West Ham are. Much better run football clubs than West Ham are. And maintaining Premier Leaguehood is so difficult these days. You're keeping your head above water every year. And I know we had a European stint and won the trophy, which was amazing, but you look at Bournemouth under Eddie Howe, they had one bad season and went down. It's so difficult, it's so difficult. And I just think we've been poorly run, poorly managed. And I think we've, again, Simon will know this better than anyone. If you're not necessarily the right person to do a job, you need to delegate it out to the people that are. And our owners
let's hear from Simon, Alec. You make some very good points. I mean, Simon, I know you're not a paid-up member of the David Sullivan fan club. I know that. But is Alec making good points there? That with others doing better, that maybe punching above their weight, like Brentford and others, West Ham were always bound to be overtaken.
Well, not always bound to be overtaken, but clearly they put themselves in a situation where they're not running it the right way. I mean, they're not making huge amounts of money in terms of the profit and loss of West Ham doesn't give them an opportunity to spend like drunken sailors to get themselves out of situations. Their recruitment policies have not been great over the years. The employment of Potter I always thought was a flawed decision as a management point of view, because I don't think he was the right manager for West Ham. I think you go back to Pellegrini, as I said earlier on in the conversation, where Sullivan allowed him to spend a lot of money on some players, and I think that scarred West Ham in terms of Felipe Anderson and players like that. They bought £40 million players and didn't get anywhere with them. And at the end of the day, the evidence speaks for itself. Because what is a good, well-run club? I mean, a well-run club, some would say that Palace are playing in the European Conference League because it wasn't well-run, because they didn't do their housekeeping to get themselves into a situation where their benefits of winning the FA Cup were the Europa League. But Palace are obviously safe in the Premier League, and if you look at it from that point of view and say that every time a team goes down, are they a badly run football club, or have they made bad decisions in the moment? And
Alex,
clearly West Ham have made bad decisions.
Sorry, Simon. Alex, can I ask you the question? What camp were you in when David Moyes was leaving the football club? Were you one that wanted him there, or were you thinking, okay, things could get better, this is a good start, we need something else?
Yeah, I mean, I love Moyes. I mean, to be honest, as a kid, I always kind of hated Everton, because I was always like, that's where West Ham should be, the whole Everton trophy thing. And, so what he was doing at Everton was obviously incredible. And then obviously had a few really bad jobs. I think he did great for West Ham. I do believe that, that there is a shelf life with managers at football clubs. And I think things had turned, although I wasn't necessarily banging the drum for him to go. I wasn't necessarily advocating for him to stay. I felt like change at the right time will be the right thing, and any of this, be careful what you wish for and all of that sort of stuff. I think that was kind of quite triggering for a lot of West Ham fans. But, if we'd have made, better recruitment decisions, better managerial decisions, I think we'd be in a better position than we are now. But, yeah,
was the Declan Rice, obviously his sale was significant, but was the money used wisely?
No, it wasn't used wisely, but I also think it's quite telling that one of the only players that we've ever really made profit on under Gold and Sullivan was Dimitri Payet, who we bought for about 10 million quid, sold him back to Marseille on quite interesting kind of terms, and Declan Rice, who we didn't pay for. This is what I've never understood about the ownership of the club, is they are so hell-bent on wasting their own money, it appears, and it's arguably more harmful to spend money poorly than it is to not spend money. This is what I've never understood. This is what I do not understand. We lose money on every single acquisition. Every single player we lose money on. Yeah. And this isn't to say you're going to make money on every player, because that isn't the
Alec,
the
it's a good call. And in spite of the fact that West Ham are contacting the PGMO to raise concerns over the disallowed goal in the defeat to Arsenal, you think that was the right decision? You think the decision to disallow it?
I think on balance of things, probably just about. I think if you look, I think Bowen may have said it. If you look long enough at anything, you'll find things. I think there was probably a couple of fouls each way, but I understand why this was disallowed. Yeah.
Oh, Alec, good call. Thanks for joining us. Adam's a big West Ham fan. Adam, good morning. Where are you at with it then? Are the walls closing in your club?
Morning, gents. I think they are closing in. They've been closing in on some time for us. I thought we were down back in January before we played Tottenham. And somehow we just got this bit of life that's kept our heads above water up to now. But it does look like we're closing in. The walls are closing in on us. And relegation is inevitable.
Relegation is inevitable. Jordan, do you agree? Big West Ham fan. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning, chaps. I do agree.
Oh, that was a quick call. We'll see if we can get him back. Tommy is another West Ham fan who joins us live. Tommy, good morning. Well, we're getting Jordan back. What do you think? The wall's closing in on you?
Is that me, aye?
That's you, Tommy. Are you Tommy?
Yeah, I'm Tommy. Aye, big West Ham fan. The walls are closing in, but I reckon Leeds are going to beat Spurs tonight. I would like to say well done to Arsenal. They'll be known as the VAR Arsenal league winners, because I couldn't believe it. As Bowen said, you have 5 minutes looking at a decision. There's a clear decision on Trossard fouling Pablo as he goes towards the goalkeeper, and we seem to sugarcoat it. I'll not mention that.
But where are you at? Where are you at with the ownership, though? Is this almost inevitable, Tommy? You've landed in this situation.
Yeah. You can say Simon's right. Spending money, you have to spend money wisely, and you won't win. You won't. Every decision isn't going to be a winning decision. But like your previous caller said, we don't make money on player resale, except Declan Rice and Payet. And if you look at Bournemouth, you look at Brighton, you look at so many times you look at certain clubs doing things and buying a player, you'd be like, they got that player for 7 million.
Yeah.
But if a West Ham go for that player, it's 45.
Okay, Tommy, thanks for the call. Jordan's back with us. Jordan, good morning. Where do you stand in all of this? No, he's gone again. Jordan is there and then not there. It was never meant to be, Jordan. We will know an awful lot more tonight, Simon. But again, looking at it, Spurs up against Leeds, with Leeds having got themselves safe and finishing in the fashion they finished.
Yeah.
You'd have to think, what a great opportunity for De Zerbi.
Martin's very able to say that it's in Spurs' hands, but he's not able to say it's in Arsenal's hands. It's in Spurs' hands, their destiny now. And so winning...
But I've also said I think West Ham shouldn't be giving up.
No, of course they shouldn't. But I mean, if Spurs win this evening, they're 4 points clear with 2 games to go. And that becomes a very tall order for West Ham to climb back out.
But who is it next for Spurs? Because Chelsea. And look at the history between those two clubs.
Oh, yeah. But if you're 4 points clear with 2 games to go, you're in a really good position. At the bottom of the table, you have suddenly.
I'd rather have the points, of course.
Yeah, of course.
But I wouldn't discount West Ham, by the way, because they go.
But I think Tottenham now. I mean, Tottenham have got. They were very good against Brighton, and it could have been 3 wins. It could have been 3 wins, and the best performance of a lot was against Brighton, because they didn't. People are making a lot about the performance against Aston Villa. Aston Villa was so poor that during the course of that game, I don't think Spurs could believe their luck. They got bolder, and people were making about Spurs' performance, but I would make it about Villa's.
Yeah.
And Spurs did what they had
Villa
to do.
needed to do that, didn't they? Because they were playing in a top European game.
I hear that, but that doesn't mean the second.
By doing that.
Does that mean the second string of players could be so poor? And the same string, some of those players that played on that game against. So you're advocating for players to turn up in front of fans?
No, I think that Villa squad, that was still a good, strong team.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I mean, Conor Gallagher pressing in the way he did, using him in the manner that he played for Crystal Palace.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was really good management from the manager.
But they seemed to switch off, Martin. They did seem to switch off.
It was shocking.
There was no switching off between Wardley and Dubois at the weekend. Dubois won it late on. It was brutal. Stan Dubois, father of Daniel, has got some very interesting views. We'll bring you them shortly. We're live in talkSPORT with Selco.
Content creator and Palace fan Ollie Thomas is with us this morning. A very good morning to you, Ollie. How are you?
Morning, Ollie.
Morning. I'm good. I'm a bit tired, as you can imagine, but I'm good. And thanks, Dean. You're right. We are the best fans in the world.
It's debatable. It's debatable, Ollie. I'm joking. I have a soft spot for Palace. My sister plays for Palace. They just got promoted, and yeah, I mean, fair play to them. Your manager. I mean, the fact that he is leaving and he might win a third trophy before he goes is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It's obviously sad that he's going, but I think it could have turned a bit sour and did turn a bit sour at the start of the calendar year. And fair play to Steve Parish, who held his own and didn't sack him. And it's now kind of become a nice send-off. And I think everyone wants to win it for Glasner as well, rather than it being like a bitter goodbye, I suppose. I think we've channeled that departure really well. And yeah, I'm feeling confident. It's weird watching a Palace team that just repeatedly turns up in big games. Like, I'm just not used to it. Every single big game we've basically ever had under Glasner, we've turned up, played really well. So hopefully we can do it one more time.
Why do you think he's leaving the club? I'm trying to work it out myself. Because he must realise that
wasn't
Palace
guaranteed. I mean, they got rid of the best players and they didn't replace them. And he'd won trophies, and they still hadn't got that right. Would that be it, Ollie? Would you think he was frustrated with how the club has been run?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he basically did exactly the same thing when he was at Wolfsburg and Frankfurt. Like, the timelines are very similar in terms of he comes to a club, starts really well, does really well, and then falls out with the board. And he's been obviously very open about the fact that he didn't think we should have sold Eze, didn't think we should have sold Gahey, or at least when we sold them.
Get ready to get that winning feeling with talkSPORT Win, because we're giving one lucky listener the chance to win a massive £25,000. Oh my God. Go to talksport.com/win to enter now, and you could win 25 grand in your hand, tax free.
Oh, that's incredible.
Get that winning feeling courtesy of talkSPORT Win.
Thank you very much.
Find out how to enter now at talksport.com/win.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. We're ready for the action. Are you? Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus. GambleAware.org.
Charlie Robertson joins us from BetMGM. And Charlie, we may as well get right into it. Premier League winner odds and the battle for 6th place. What are you thinking? Good morning.
Morning, Jim. Morning, guys. Yeah, I know you've done plenty on the title race, Jim, so won't spend too long on it, but just a quick update where sort of the markets are after the weekend. Yeah, it looks like Arsenal, I think probably one hand on the trophy is probably a fair sort of some estimation of where they are. Traders agree. Gunners just 2-15 to win the title, with City out to 9-2. So, yeah, as our price suggests, it's close to a done deal. It's never a done deal in the Premier League until it is, but it does feel fairly very much in sort of Arsenal's hands at the moment. And as you mentioned, yeah, Jim, just want to have a look at the battle for 6th, really. Yeah, if Villa can win the Europa League and finish 5th, then 6th would be enough for Champions League football, which would be amazing for the likes of Bournemouth or Brighton, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Bournemouth unbeaten their last 16, which is pretty amazing. They're 7-10 to finish 6th, while Brighton have won. Another really informed team, Jim. Yeah, 7 of the last 10. They're 27-20. Martin, I wanted to come to you here. Bournemouth, they've got City and Forest left to play, while Brighton have got Leeds and United. I think I'd probably lean on Bournemouth to finish in that 6th spot. But who would you fancy to finish 6th?
Goodness me, it's difficult. I haven't got those fixtures in front of me, but
well, I mean, I was at Brighton. I know it was Wolves. All due respect to Wolves, but the game was over before it began. I mean, 2 early goals. That was it. Brighton had won it.
Yeah.
And Brighton, the fans around me were talking about Europe, and the excitement that's going on down there at the moment is second to none. They're loving it, because Hurslow's having a late burst at the end here.
Yeah, but so it's Leeds' last home game. Brighton have got to go there. You know, that's going to be difficult as well, but they are on a high, as you say. And then Manchester United at home, and United's last game. So
cracking game. Great game.
It's very difficult to really choose between either team here, isn't it? Because, you know, you've also got to give credit to Brentford to have gone this far in the race.
Oh, sure.
And all the teams that are down there. And before Saturday's game, we even went as far as Fulham had an opportunity to make it into Europe, Jim. So the quality of the league is definitely, and that recruitment element plays its part, doesn't it? Both for Brighton, Bournemouth and Brentford. So, no, I mean, good luck to them, whoever gets it. I think maybe Bournemouth do it. And what I find ironic about this is Areola then is going to leave a team that's in the Champions League. And where does he go next? Does he go to a team that's not playing in the Champions League? Something feels wrong there.
Yeah.
Whether that's a view to where he's going, whether that's Manchester United, because it can't be Chelsea, because they don't look like they're going to make the Champions League, or he goes back to Spain.
He's not going to do a U-turn now, is he, Simon? Areola.
I wouldn't have thought so. I mean, he's done a fabulous job for Bournemouth. So he's fully entitled to leave. You know, he served his contract. They've worked well together. He's been great for Bill Foley. Bill Foley's been great for him. As a result of him, players have got better. They've been sold. They've been monetised fantastically at Bournemouth. The team's got better and better. He's never had a moment's problem with the media in terms of making excuses for anything that hasn't gone his way. There's
Look at the players he's lost.
Perfect model of manager. But then again, you step him up into a bigger club with all the different levels of exposure. When people see Bournemouth winning, they go, "Wow, that's a shock." When they don't see Chelsea winning, they go, "You're supposed to win." Man United, you're supposed to win.
It did take him 9 games to win a game at Bournemouth.
Yeah, but he was. You know, and of course, he lost.
Rode that storm.
He lost to Wolves when Gary O'Neill had gone there.
Yeah,
but after that, I think the man's been
amazing.
Absolutely brilliant manager.
Incredible. Tottenham Leeds tonight then, and it's a talkSPORT exclusive. Where are you going with that, Charlie?
Yeah, another huge game for Spurs, isn't it, tonight, Jim? Obviously, I think you mentioned it earlier, but with West Ham obviously losing yesterday, Leeds are now safe. I'm not sure how that affects motivation. I actually think Leeds have got a decent chance tonight. No team's picked up fewer points than Spurs at home this season, so I don't think you can have too much confidence in them at home. They are the 3-5 favourites, though. The draw is 14-5, and Leeds are 16-5. Gents, I just wanted to ask you about Daniel Farke. Really, obviously done an amazing job there to keep Leeds in the league. How impressed have you been by what he's done, and do you think they'll sort of push on next season, or do you think it'll once again be sort of relegation? Anything would be better, but can you see them sort of mid-table finish next season?
Depends how he's backed, isn't it? I mean, he went into the Premier League last year with some unfair observations about his previous history at Norwich and how he'd got teams relegated, and then you dig deep into that and you see that he was given very little money. In this instance, he turned Calvert-Lewin into a player again. The Leeds team, when he pivoted off the way they were playing sort of 10, 15 games into the season, have been far better, far more competitive, and much more difficult to play against. I think he deserves loads and loads of credit. But it's down to what Leeds board support him with, what kind of players they're going to make available to him, and how much money they're going to back him.
Actually, in fairness to the manager, I mean, I think he's done amazing. I mean, he tweaked his system as well halfway through the season, didn't he, Simon?
That's what I said, yeah.
And, Okafor, Calvert-Lewin, I mean, it was Everton... hardly took to the pitch.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the first thing.
With all due respect to Leeds, Tottenham's the story tonight. You look at Tottenham and you think, right, go out there and beat Leeds.
Absolutely. But this
go out there and do it.
This is BDZ. This is not Barker's De Zerbi. It's before De Zerbi is the Tottenham side and after De Zerbi. And you've got De Zerbi now. The players are focused now. They know what's at risk here. They've won 2 games. Whether we think the opposition were what the opposition were in Wolves and Aston Villa, they've won them. They put performances against Brighton. Martin can talk to the mentality of a player better than I ever could. But the players have now got the a focus in their minds and momentum.
He set targets, hasn't he? We can
win all 5 games.
We can win all 5. And at that point,
and so he should be, because
he only had 31 points at that point, which is 50% of the points.
And that's what he should be saying.
Said he's going to get.
That's what he should be saying. So I think Tottenham will beat Leeds tonight.
So do I, Simon. I must admit, I think all eyes are on Tottenham.
Never going to get a better chance.
Leeds have dug themselves out of it. No credit to them for doing it. But Tottenham tonight, go out there, win it. Win it.
But it kind of like it's an us all them situation. When you're in that situation, it ain't going to be us. I think Leeds might just bristle a little bit tonight with a little bit of confidence, and I wouldn't be disrespectful going into it. No. There's still a pressure on this game.
Well, no Spygate attached to this game, but there is in the Championship, is there not? And the fingers are being pointed in Southampton's direction. Having said that, tonight, Charlie, talkSPORT 2 exclusive, Millwall-Hull Championship playoff semi-final second leg. It's enormous. The Den just down the road from you in South Birmingham would be rocking, and it's 0-0 against Hull. What are you thinking?
Yeah, as you say, a huge game, and obviously all to play for after that goalless first leg, Jim. Millwall have been really strong at home recently, actually. They've won 4 of their last 6, and we make them 7-10 to win the game and 33-10 to make it to the final. Hull, slightly in contrast, have been quite poor recently on their travels, just 1 win in 7. They're 19-5. The draw is 5-2, and Hull are 39-20 to make the final, Jim. But I think all the stats point to a Millwall victory. But as you say, massive game, and yeah, should be a really exciting watch.
Achunile Kelly will be excited about this tonight, Simon. What an opportunity!
Of course he will. I mean, the opportunity was, quite frankly, at the weekend to land the blow at their stadium.
Yeah,
a mixed bag, isn't it? I mean, obviously, Michelle comes from Hull, so I've got that in my family. But by the same token, we've got Millwall, which is a London club, which, despite the fact I would rather have Millwall relegated to non-league football.
Did you watch it? Did you watch it Friday night?
No,
it was a very nervy affair. This is massive. What's riding on these games?
Of course it is.
Millwall, though, home form, surely they do it.
Well, at least in that one, Millwall and Hull, one isn't spying on the other. We'll get to that next. Visit betmgm.co.uk, download the app. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18 plus, gamble aware.
To join Arsenal was the biggest achievement in my career, but the way the things end up was a little bit not nasty. But at the end of the day, I'm happy. They are happy. They know, you know what, life goes on. If you ask me if I regret, I don't regret. But I'm happy also giving them something back, because at the end of the day, if I can't represent and defend my parents, I don't know who will do it for me. So it's kind of doing my job.
You're spot on, Emmanuel. I don't blame you at all. I would have done the same, mate.
Thank you.
Looking at the title race, Manchester City messing up against Everton. How do you think it's going to go? Who do you think will win it in the end?
Who do I think will win it? If you ask me today, I will still tell you that I think Man City will win it, but I would like Arsenal to win it because it has been over a decade. They have been fighting for that even when I was there. We were fighting for it. Obviously, in April, then sometime in March and April, it's all over, and we drop points at Wigan, at Bolton, wherever you can call it. Then we saw the league sliding out of our hand. But this year they're doing quite well, and the good thing is that defensively they are very good. But now they have to win the last 3 games to win the league. And obviously, Man City again dropping points at Everton. They will come back stronger. They will manage with their manager, with the players, with the experienced team they had. They will do everything possible to win the last 3 games and wait for Arsenal to drop points so they can be champion. But trust me, it's not going to be an easy task for both of them. Let's see who win. But I wish, for the first time, Arsenal wins it because they have been working towards this for so long time.
It was a VAR call that might have settled the title and relegation. Gabby Abanglaho isn't sure Callum Wilson's equaliser should have been disallowed.
We'll have a quick look at it and say, foul, 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 foul. It's chaos in the box, the goal stands, because there's so many fouls going on. Okay, if Pablo fouls the goalkeeper, what about Declan Rice, who rugby tackles Mavropanos? Okay, is it a penalty?
After a 5-minute delay, it was decided. Pablo's arm across Raya meant Arsenal held on to beat West Ham. The Hammers could be 4 points from safety if Spurs beat Leeds live on talkSPORT tonight. Meanwhile, it's in Arsenal's hands now. Is that title wrapped up? Perry Groves.
It's not done and dusted. Obviously, there's 2 games to go with Burnley at home and Palace away. But let's be honest, that was I think the defining game of Arsenal's Premier League season.
Now, several Championship clubs are checking their CCTV for Southampton spies. They've not contested a charge after someone was caught filming Middlesbrough training, with the Saints hosting Borough in the Championship playoff semi-final tomorrow night. Also at 0-0, Hull go to Millwall, live on talkSPORT 2 tonight. Elsewhere, Marcus Rashford's keeping his cards close to his chest on his next move, but has called his stunning free kick to help Barcelona beat Real Madrid and wrap up the La Liga title the perfect way to end. And Norway's Christopher Reitan's picked up his first PGA Golf Tour victory at the Truist Championship. Alex Fitzpatrick, who had been leading the event heading into the final day, eventually ended 4th.
Just gone at 11:30 this Monday morning. It is Monday, May the 11th. We're flying through the month. Next month, all eyes on the World Cup. We're live on talkSPORT with Selco. It's where the trade goes. Also live on your TV as well, even Prime Video. It was live on DAZN on Saturday night. It was also live on talkSPORT. The big fight up in Manchester between Fabio Wardley and Daniel Dubois. It was a brutal encounter that saw Daniel Dubois beat Wardley, and he stepped up, the man with all the spoils at the end of an 11th round stoppage. But it was a bruising affair. Brutal, to say the least of it. Barry McGuigan on social media, the corner, this is Fabio Wardley's corner, should have pulled him out at least 3 rounds before the stoppage. Don't believe Wardley will ever be the same fighter again. We're going to get into that. Frank Warren, who promoted both fighters, is going to join us before we go today. But this morning, just before we came on air, I spoke to Daniel's dad, Stan Dubois, and I asked him, how do you look back on it all?
I'm so proud of him, and
for him to go in there and start off on rocky grounds and come through it and make all the doubters wrong and really believe in himself and deliver. How can I not be proud of that? It's unbelievable, really. It was a great fight, and now he's 3-time heavyweight champion, not 2-time. He won it in LA with the Don King show, and he's done it a 3rd time. It's fantastic.
Stan, what were you really thinking when he hit the canvas after 11 seconds?
I thought, well, here we go. He's a great puncher, so I can't take nothing away from Wardley. If he catches you, stuff can happen, and as we saw, it happened. But he got back up, and I was encouraging him to get back up and hold his composure and work off of his jab. And because he's had such a good amateur career, I suppose he just went back into boxing, and then, and he delivered. It was fantastic.
There were some out there that doubted Daniel. What did you make of the narrative before the fight about Daniel lacking heart?
Well, they don't know Daniel, do they? And boxing is all about critics and stuff like that. So I don't really look into that too much. I just make sure that he's prepared right, and he will show the doubters and show them that they're wrong, really.
Was it disrespectful towards your boy, Stan?
Boxing carries a lot of disrespect, so you've got to be thick-skinned, really, haven't you? So I think Daniel's very thick-skinned. I don't think it bothers him too much, to be honest.
All sorts of talk that Fabio Wardley maybe could and should have been pulled out of the fight going into the latter stages of it. You know, again, now you look back in it...
Well, I wouldn't have allowed my boy to take such a beating like that. No way in the world. I would have got him out of there, you know? I would have insisted that they stopped it. I was looking at it and I'm thinking, why are they doing that? Why don't someone stop it? Because he can get permanent damage. At least give him a chance to come back and fight another day.
So, no doubt, Stan, you thought it should have been stopped earlier.
100%, yeah. 100%. But saying that, he has got a way of coming back from the dead. So I suppose they had to give him that chance because he's done it in nearly all his fights. So I would have still pulled him out because that blood didn't look too good. And, you know, maybe it wasn't as bad as it looked, but I thought it was bad.
Have you been in touch with Wardley's people, Stan, since the fight?
Yeah, I went in the dressing room to tell him how much of a warrior he is, but he was with the doctor, so I never got to speak to him. But yeah, the guy's a warrior, 100%.
Stan, talk of a rematch. Would you want a rematch with Daniel, would you?
I think Daniel would. Daniel is a fighter. He would fight, but it's all up to Fabio if he takes a rematch, really. But Daniel will improve and do a better job the next time. He was full of nerves, to be honest, Daniel, because of his last fight was a stoppage. And I know he weren't saying it, but I know it was in his mind. I could tell when he was a bit nervous, but he got through it. But the next time he'll be a lot better, so they'll have to think carefully because he'll do a number on him next time.
If he wasn't to fight Wardley again, Stan, what would you think might be next? Moses Itoma or even Alexander Usyk?
I wouldn't see the point in fighting Alexander Usyk again. I would say to Daniel, fight another British heavyweight or someone like Moses maybe, but, he's not that clever with southpaw, so I wouldn't advise him really to go in with a southpaw until he's had maybe another southpaw fight.
That was Stan Dubois, father of Daniel Dubois. Later on, we're going to be hearing from Frank Warren, who's joining us live, promoter of the two fighters on the night. Simon, you were ringside. You watched it very, very closely. It was brutal. Should it have been stopped earlier?
I think so. I think I was actually talking to Carl Froch about it yesterday on the way home back from Manchester, and he was suggesting that perhaps there was even as early as the 7th or 8th round, there was little point that Fabio staying into that fight much longer. There's always the possibility because of Fabio's track record of being able to have an equaliser that knocks people out with one punch. But that's when Fabio's fighting against Justice Hooney and people of that calibre, not when he's fighting against Daniel Dubois. And that was always the question. Stan is, I can tell you one thing, Stan suggesting that Daniel Dubois wasn't bothered by the observations about a lack of heart. I can categorically assure you that he was, to such a point that it was a little uncomfortable before I started talking to them on Friday night for DAZN about putting the question to him about the heart question. I mean, look, it was a great fight in so many different ways. I think probably one of the most significant things for Fabio was part of his undoing was that he got such early success, and it may have convinced him that the only punch he needed to throw for the rest of the fight was a right hand. He got shown some of the limitations of Fabio to some extent, but you can't take anything away from him. You know, he's achieved wonderful things. The fascinating thing will be to see if he wants it again. The big thing.
Would you like to see it again?
Well, the big thing that all the fight fraternity will tell you is not about the loss, but what it's done to him, and leaving him in there for that amount of time to take that amount of punishment. What it's left him with, what he can come back with, what's left in his soul, and what's left in him physically, because it was a beating, and Fabio was not going to go down. And so there was a responsibility, almost a Hippocratic responsibility from his corner to look at him and say, and Ben Davidson will have his own say, and hopefully we're going to get him on the show tomorrow to talk about it, his trainer, to suggest that ultimately there's an outcome to be explained as to why he kept him in there. Because there's no way Fabio Wardley was going to go down. He was not going to go down. He was going to stay into this fight, and it was almost this inconceivable possibility this fight might go to points. Everyone in the world had said there's no possibility that this was going to go to points, and yet we are in 11th round, and somehow or another they're still standing up. I mean, it was a great fight, a great atmosphere. The Mancunian fight fans are fantastic, and they were also treated to a wonderful undercard of great fights with people getting knocked out and shocks being exhibited. So it all built up into a really, really good evening. And you've got to give Daniel all the kudos. I don't know what Stan's talking about in terms of 2 times heavyweight champion of the world, because he obviously beat Philip
3 times or something.
3 times, yeah. My point is he's twice. He beat Filip Hrgović and was given the belt. He then went into Anthony Joshua and bashed him up, which I think was his greatest performance. And then this performance takes back the WBO belt and gives him WBO rather than the IBF he had. Daniel, I don't see Daniel fighting Moses Atoma. I'd be gobsmacked if Frank sticks him in with Moses Atoma. I think there's 2 opportunities to run those guys in different directions, but I can't see the appetite for Usyk. So the big question is, does he fight?
Nobody wants to fight.
What's your feeling about should this have been stopped earlier? Because I mean, I'm watching it now. Round 6, Wardley's getting hurt.
Well, that's the point. That's the point I just made. Talking to Carl Froch, and I was sitting next to Josh Boazzi, and Josh Boazzi was saying to me, "This is disgraceful," and I'll tell Ben when I see him, "This is shocking." This is shocking what's going on here. He should be taken out. You've got to leave something of the fighter. I spoke to Frocci yesterday afternoon on the way home back in the car. He was of the same mindset. To Martin's point, 6th round, 7th round, Fabio was taking a beating. The problem is you've got a world title fight, right, which means you give these guys as much latitude as you possibly can. You've got someone like Fabio that never wants to give up, and he's got a punch that can equalise. So at some point you've got to make that decision, what's best and what's right. And Ben will defend himself and make his own observations as to the reasons why he didn't do it. I mean, Fabio will come again. He will have the rematch clause. It's not up to Daniel Dubois. I'm pretty sure, and Frank will be able to substantiate this, that if Fabio's right to have the rematch, because Fabio was a defending champion, if he wanted a rematch clause, it's for him to call it. But you look at that and you think, I mean, it was remarkable that he was still on his feet, and it was a remarkable performance by Daniel Dubois because he had to dig himself out from being dropped in the first round, which was a flash knockdown, but they could see the nerves. And then I was talking to Boazzi, and he was saying to me, look at Daniel Dubois after round 4. Every round, Daniel Dubois was out early, out ready to go. And you see the slap where Don Charles slapped him. Yeah. Don Charles slaps him in one of the rounds to wake him up. And there's brilliant training from Don Charles. And so much credit has got to be given to John Charles because these guys jettisoned him. Then they brought him back because it didn't work with Tony Sims. And look at the outcome. He's clearly got the zeitgeist on how to communicate with Daniel, how to get him going. And Daniel deserves all the praise in the world for winning this title because there's lots of doubters about him. He's had to live with the pressure of being considered to be one of the most biggest hopefuls in this country. Yeah. And all the observations against Joe Joyce and Alexander Usyk that he swallowed it and didn't fancy it. This was a great fight. But it was always, I said it to them, the fighters on Friday night. We said it all week. This was going to be someone battered into submission. Now, whether you like that or not, and whether the questions about boxing, because I can tell you what I saw, Jim. I saw, sitting next to the ring with the people that I was with, the doctor putting his fingers into the hole where Fabio Wardley's nose was, between his eyebrow and his nose, because there was a bloody hole there. And it was a bit disconcerting, to be honest. So my answer is, I think most people would say he should have been taken out.
I mean, I'm looking at a message here. It was a great night for British boxing. It was also a landmark night, though, for the anti-boxing brigade. That's not altogether untrue, is it,
yes, of course. I think. I mean, you could also say that it was very disconcerting to watch Fraser Clark laying in the corner after Fabio Wardley knocked him out, and people felt that his entire face had had a stroke. That was how bad when Fraser Clark got knocked out. Fabio Wardley is the person that can speak to this situation and say, "I'm a professional boxer."
Well,
I know.
Do you think his reputation, though, Simon, because we know he could spring back with a big right hook.
Ben Davison will join us tomorrow. What the man in Wardley's corner.
His trainer's job is not to manage his reputation.
Yeah, and to be fair to Davison, he says on 2 occasions we did look at pulling him out, but on 1 occasion the end of the round came. On the second occasion, Fabio fired back and killed Dubois' momentum. Anyway, Ben can speak for himself, and no doubt will tomorrow morning. Frank Warren will be joining.
Let's not worry about other teams. I'm sorry, West Ham, not our problem. Okay, you lost 3-0 to Brentford. You've got 3 games. Go and beat Arsenal on the weekend. Do it yourself. Aston Villa, worry about Aston Villa. And the players, they took it easy. My daughter was there in the Holton. She's like, Dad, why is everyone walking? It was walking football from Aston Villa. But then when you see a performance like that, where they've put in 100% every player, you don't care about that. Up the Villa!
Up the Villa!
Up the Villa! Istanbul!
Do you want the hands mask? Put the hands mask on.
Gabby's putting the hands mask on. Up the Villa! Up the Villa! Up the European Villa! Istanbul! Istanbul! Let's go! Let's go, baby! Boys,
do as anyone see. Do as anyone see.
Yeah.
Let's set it up for Gabby.
Sorry. Has anyone seen Maximus Scott? Where are you, Max? We need some news. Robin Hood, the Prince of Thieves, Sherwood Forest, Friar Tuck. Where are you, Friar? The original boots chemist. Hooters. Is Hooters closed? I used to open Hooters. Close Hooters. Shut it down. Matt Ford, do us a favour, mate. Stuart Broad, where are you? Chris Wokes, better player. Where are you? Tricky Trees. Rock City. HB Sauce, where are you? Notts Forest.
And Big H Martin's killed me. Big H Martin's killed me.
Get ready to get that winning feeling with talkSPORT Win, because we're giving 1 lucky listener the chance to win a massive £25,000.
Oh my God.
Go to talksport.com/win to enter now, and you could win 25 grand in your hand, tax free.
Oh, that's incredible.
Get that winning feeling courtesy of talkSPORT Win.
Thank you very much.
Find out how to enter now at talksport.com/win.
Quite a weekend, wasn't it? There was the boxing, and Frank Warren is still to come. There was that game at the London Stadium, of course. Arsenal emerged victorious. And north of the border, Celtic killed off Rangers 3-1. So do all roads lead to a final day decider between the top two at Celtic Park? It would seem that all roads do. The top two, Hearts are on 77 points. They drew 1-1 at Motherwell. Celtic are on 76 points, having beaten Rangers by 3-1. Up next for Hearts, Falkirk at home and then Celtic away on the final day. Celtic have got Motherwell away and Hearts at home on the final day. What a finish up there. But Rangers are out of it. And Danny Rowe, Rangers manager, reflected on that.
My group did an outstanding job until the split. Take a lot of points, come closer, work really hard, put a lot of energy in. And then you come to the most important time of the year. And then we take not the right results. I think this is where always I'm in front of my group. I have to lead them, and I also take, of course, in these moments responsibility. There's a lot of things what we will take from the split, learnings, consequences, and then we move forward, prepare the new season, and then we should come from sometimes not good enough to be the best. And for this, we have to take a lot of things right.
Wow. So Simon and Martin, your boy played up there. You know the scene up in Scotland. Rangers having to accept third place for the time being. I mean, one wonders how long Danny Rowe will stay in that position if he'll go before the end of the season.
Well, you know the expectation and you know the anger, and that sort of performance, certainly to lose the last 3 games of the season, Jim, it's unacceptable for the Rangers fans. So although he did turn the club around, did an incredible job, just interesting looking at Motherwell and the significance they've had in the running. That's where Celtic go to in midweek.
Yeah.
And what Motherwell have done in drawing with Hearts and beating Rangers.
Well, there's a lot of talk about Motherwell being the best footballing team in the division. And with all due respect to Danny Rowe, I think he's a good manager. I think he's gone up there and got most of it right. He had a bad start picking up the reins from Russell Martin, and people were questioning his validity of his appointment, but I think he got them going. So much so that the kiss of death came along and I tipped Rangers to win the league, which is always a bad thing for anybody. But if you look at the results that have taken away, obviously they started this split group with a 6-2-3 demolition of Falkirk. Then they've got 3 games. Whichever way you cut it, they're not easy games. I'm not giving them a pass. But Motherwell's a difficult game. Hearts are the top of the league, so you always expect at Hearts was going to be a difficult game. And in the Old Firm game, it kind of takes care of itself. No, it's not good enough for Rangers. It shouldn't be considered to be good enough. But let's take the whole of a season in its entirety. And don't judge Danny Rowe by this set of circumstances. You've got to judge him by next season, because I think he's a really capable manager. We had Josh Windass on talking about him. Yeah, I'm not suggesting that Josh Windass is a blueprint for how Rangers should be determined.
Sheffield Wednesday.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think the guy's got the chops. I think you'll see a better Rangers next year. I think you'll see a better Celtic as well, with due respect to what Martin's managed to achieve. But yes, Rangers finishing third. I mean, the intrigue will now, of course, be all to do what you want it to do. You absolutely must want it to go to the last game of the season. Wouldn't it be wonderful if Hearts went to Celtic Park and won the league? Of course not. If you're a Celtic fan, Scottish football, yes.
What a prospect either it could be, Celtic Hearts at Celtic Park. Would you have fancied that, Martin, in your day? An Arsenal-Manchester United final day decider at your place?
Oh, without doubt. You know, it would be a wonderful experience to be involved in that, wouldn't it? You know, like
Arsenal have got
winner takes all.
Arsenal did it in 1989. Michael Thomas scores the goal, didn't they? They've done it before at Anfield.
Yeah. If Martin O'Neill was to pull it off, would it be impossible for the Celtic board not to appoint him for the long term?
Well, it depends what Martin wants. I mean, he plays hide and seek with himself, doesn't he? Tells you 1 minute he wants it, next minute he doesn't. We all know he likes the job. He's sat in this room telling everyone he wants to be involved, and then when it comes to the microphone, he's a little bit more coy about it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a little bit too old. Like, no, you're not. You're perfectly. I don't know what it was.
Do you know he can't look further than the Motherwell game, though, can he?
Yeah.
I know you want to set that up, Jim, but if they lose. And Hearts win. So let's take one game at a time. But what he's done there is extraordinary, isn't it? How he's kept. Look at the winning run that they've been on, Jim. What is it? 6 wins now. They lost against Dundee, and he's taken it to another.
I think he let Celtic down very badly, Martin O'Neill, by not staking his claim much more vigorously first time round, and suggesting that they should never let him go out the door.
He was a temporary manager.
I think Celtic fans should hold Martin entirely responsible for that. Right? And Wilfred Nancy was put in play.
But if they win it, Simon, with that title win. I mean, walking away, if he does indeed walk away at the end of it,
Why should he walk away?
He should be allowed. He should be allowed to do whatever he wants.
For Martin.
No, it might be, but also it depends what the Celtic board are going to do with him and how they're going to support him. It's one thing, Martin. First of all, you're a long time gone, right? So players will always play as long as they possibly can. Managers should want to manage as long as they can. If they've run out of love with the game, then don't do it. He hasn't fallen out of love with the game. He sat in this studio suggesting, because he's very unassuming at times, Martin, and other times not so much, that this is an opportunity that he would embrace again. And I said to him, your currency is really high after that Celtic stint. You should be looking. Do you think so? Yeah, get involved, stake your claim, start putting yourself forward, market yourself, be your best marketeer. He's gone back in there. Why wouldn't he? Unless Celtic are going to sell him short, unless they're going to give him no tools to work with, he's going to consider himself having worked the Oracle and he can't do it twice. Why wouldn't he do another year? He's 70-odd years of age. He's got bags of energy. He's as fit as a flea. And clearly the players respond to him. The Celtic fan base love him.
He's doing the right, though, if he wins it, to choose what he does next.
Yeah, and I think if Celtic back him, he should stay for another year.
And, of course, we're talking about Celtic. We should be talking about Hearts before we leave this.
Yeah.
Because they continue to lead the way on 77 points. So, quite simply, win against Falkirk, win against Celtic, you've won it.
I mean, look, you look at it and you say, people talk about Bottle and about, they've shown all of that, Jim. They've won 5 games on the bounce and they drew that game against what is a very good Motherwell team.
Drive a coach and horses through 40 years of Celtic Rangers, Celtic dominance.
I'm a Celtic fan, but I think it does a lot for Scottish football, what Hearts are doing. When there's 3 in a race, it seems to have transformed the interest. We're all looking at Scottish football again. When it's Rangers and Celtic, we switch off a little bit because we're not too interested. But now that Hearts are there, and I just think it's interesting, isn't it, that the owner from Brentford has gone across, injected a little bit of money. Tony Bloom. Yeah. That analytical company that he brings in, Jim, he put 20 million in, a stake of the club, 29% I think he owns. And look how well suddenly they've done with their recruitment.
To be fair, I always felt, it was Anne Budge, wasn't it? I always felt that she was a very, very capable woman. And she was remarkably forward-thinking.
She held it together, didn't she?
She did more than hold it together. She was an innovator in the way that she thought about things, certainly during COVID when the Hearts players weren't paid in certain ways other football clubs and they didn't have the consequences of other football clubs. So she was a really clever thinker. In this instance, Tony is no doubt... You can't, and so is Matthew Benham. That's why the ridiculousness about the Keith Andrews appointment being something that, we don't know what he's doing. Really? What's the track record of this fella at Brentford? So it would be great for Scottish football insofar as it is a building block. If it's one of those flash pan, how great was it for everyone else that Leicester won the Premier League? Normal service resumed the following season. Yeah. You need the Premier League to become something of an attraction so the broadcast can stick some more money in. By Hearts adding it to the mix, you start to add some more intrigue, and all of a sudden broadcasters start to go, well, this isn't a dog with fleas. This is something that's interesting to us. We can market it. We can pay more money for it, and everyone gets a benefit.
And also, Simon, as Martin rightly said, Tony Bloom's on the scene. So say Hearts win it. Say Hearts win it. Tony may well be encouraged to invest further.
I think it's only. I think the ownership model.
This gave Hearts a shot in the arm.
Yeah, sure. I mean, again, the scale is everything. Don't forget, you've got 2 huge monoliths in front of you. They've got turnovers that are probably 5 times the size of Hearts. And Tony will probably inject some more money in because he's a backer of businesses and an ambitious fellow. He's also not a fool. Yeah. He's not going. He knows that the Premier League in English football is an opportunity to really generate revenue, but the Scottish football will have its ceilings. But of course, you'll now see Hearts playing in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. This fella might have a problem in about 2 months' time because if he's got Hearts draw Brighton in the Champions League and Brighton were to get there, all of a sudden he's got a conflict of interest situation.
Yeah.
But the bottom line
is... He's only a stakeholder, so he's all right. I think he's inside the margins.
Maybe.
Who's to say when I'm down at the Brighton Player of the Year dinner, which I'm doing next Tuesday night...
for God's sakes.
A week on Tuesday night. Who's to say...
Do you ever have a day off, Jim?
Tony Bloom, who'll also be there, of course, may well be celebrating a Hearts title win.
Wow.
You never know. A lot of stick coming in. Producer Luke's telling me, Simon, a lot of stick coming in, though, as we've been speaking, for Danny Rowe from Rangers supporters, who are saying virtually it should be time up. Not good enough. Move out. Well, they would say that.
Look what he inherited,
the morning after a 3-1 Old Firm defeat.
Yeah.
I do think he's done a good job, as Simon says. You go right back to when he took over the job, and they were becoming an embarrassment the way they were playing.
But unfortunately, we know as
once they decided with Russell Martin.
What a wonderful way to look at the world. But the fact is that he has, when it came on top, and we would be the first to say it, this was the business.
Yeah.
And when it came on top, he lost 3 games in a row with a critical time. So he's going to take some brickbats for it. But I think he's got to be given some more rope.
Sure. It is 12 noon. We're live in talkSPORT this Monday lunchtime. Live with you with Selco.
the performances that you've seen from Chelsea. I mean, the Brighton game.
You can't defend what Chelsea have done.
Why have they given
Caicedo
an extra year?
You cannot defend what Chelsea have done. There is nothing positive to say about the way the club has behaved and the club has been run, the club have played this season. There is nothing positive.
You can have 3 or 4 maybe that you see in a team that are not doing it, but there's so many games this season. I've seen Chelsea players, every single player is not running around. Yeah. Every single player is not trying.
Gabby,
every single
the statistics are clear.
Back.
They have been outrun in every single Premier League game. After 10 games, the alarm bells should be ringing.
And in fairness, you can moan about the way the club is run. You can moan about the model. You can moan about the revolving door of managers, which we were told, by the way, when they hired Graham Potter, they weren't going to be that club anymore. They've got worse. But there still has to be individual responsibility. There still has to be professional pride. And there isn't in that dressing room.
You got Fofana getting taken off in a recent game.
Well, I have to say,
he's garbage.
He's got a history of falling out with everybody.
Incredible,
bad signing. What? Signed
Who
him
signed
off the back of a long-term injury, and guess what happened? Yeah. He got injured.
He didn't play for nearly 2 years.
Who could have seen that coming?
But even look at all Chelsea's centre-half options. Listen, Chalobah, decent player, not at the level where Chelsea want to get to. Badiashile, not good enough. The Sassy, who's at West Ham on loan, not good enough.
He's actually played quite well for West Ham.
I know, but where Chelsea want to get to, all of those centre-halves, you're looking at it and saying, that's not a back line.
Especially
or
when you spent 2.5 billion quid.
How much do all those players
cost?
They
signed the goalkeeper and Robert Sanchez, who Brighton made no real effort to kick.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range, supporting van owners to get the job done. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
With the headlines at 3 minutes past 12, I'm Tom Clayton. Good afternoon. It's reported football's lawmakers, IFAB, will look at grappling at corners after this summer's World Cup. This after what's been dubbed as the biggest VAR call ever, as West Ham's late equaliser against Arsenal was disallowed. Former Premier League ref Chris Foy has told us the decision was right.
I think what you've got to do is identify the ones that are really clear. You know, those acts that have a clear material impact. But this one yesterday, as you quite rightly say, was a foul on David Raya.
The result leaves West Ham in serious relegation trouble and puts Mikel Arteta's side in the driving seat to win the title. Martin Keown's told White and Jordan Arsenal winning the Premier League and Champions League this season would make them better than the Invincibles.
Let's be fair, the Invincibles tag was a consolation for a team that probably should have won the treble that season. We went out of the Champions League and FA Cup in the space of 4 days.
Meanwhile, the Met Police made 4 arrests at the London Stadium, including 2 men on suspicion of assault. That's after a steward had their arm broken. Elsewhere, ahead of their first ever World Cup appearance, a Cape Verde player is being investigated by police in New Zealand. It's related to allegations of sexual assault at a hotel during the FIFA series in March. The new permanent memorial to Diogo Jota and his brother Andre Silva has been revealed by Liverpool. Jota and his brother died in a car crash last July. The memorial Forever 20 features the lyrics to Jota's chant and will be built outside Anfield. And Daniel Dubois' dad has told White and Jordan he wouldn't have let his son take a beating like that, and says Fabio Wardley should have been pulled out earlier than Dubois' 11th round stoppage. All the fallout to a mad weekend of boxings on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel.
talkSPORT News.
Sir Keir Starmer says he'll prove the doubters wrong as he made a make-or-break speech to keep his job, and find out which Hollywood actor was having a blazing row with a cyclist on a London street. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Spring forwards with Bridgestone Turanza all-season 6 tyres with a 25,000 mileage guarantee. Book today at quickfit.com. Conditions apply.
Patchy rain across central areas moving southwards, sunny spells elsewhere, but a few showers over northern Scotland and eastern coast of England where it is breezy, below average temperatures.
Good afternoon, everybody. 6 minutes past 12 noon. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan, and Arsenal Invincible Martin Keown, and we are live on talkSPORT. A lot to get through in the final hour. We're getting into the era of playoffs again in a season. The playoff matches, all important. Who's going to get to Wembley? Who's going to move up a division? We'll get to that. So much at stake in these final days of the domestic season, and of course, not just that, the European season, because we have Crystal Palace, we have Aston Villa, and we have Arsenal in European finals. Arsenal, of course, contesting at the Champions League final in Budapest against none other than Paris Saint-Germain. In the world of boxing, another huge night, this time in Manchester over the weekend, and you heard live commentary on talkSPORT. It was live in DAZN, a brutal encounter in Manchester, and it saw Daniel Dubois emerge as the victor over Fabio Wardley after a bloody brutal affair over 11 rounds. Dubois' power was eventually too much for Wardley, who was left battered and bruised. And of course, the fight was stopped at the end of the 11th hour. We're going to hear from Daniel Dubois' dad, Stan Dubois, again very shortly. He spoke to me just before we came on air this morning. But the promoter of the fight, Frank Warren, joins us live on the show this lunchtime. Frank, good afternoon to you. How do you look back on the events of Saturday?
Good afternoon, Jim, Simon and Martin.
Morning, Frank.
I look back on it, it's probably one of the best shows we've ever put on. The main event was just unbelievable. Unbelievable fight. Two absolute warriors who gritted their teeth and gave everything. And the place was rammed out, it was sold out, and everybody there, they were just enthralled by it.
And of course, we saw it happened in the early moments. Frank Dubois picked himself up from the canvas twice after all the question marks about heart. And I know you bristled at these questions before the fight, but is Daniel now no longer a man to be doubted?
Well, look at the punches that he took. And he got up and he gritted his teeth and got on with it. And he's matured, and he boxed extremely well. I watched it back on the replay on TV, and I thought it actually looked better on the replay than he did when I was watching it. I thought he was excellent, and he was so good afterwards. The way he praised Fabio for his, the part he played in the fight. It was magnificent. And anybody who doubts Daniel now, I don't know what planet they're on. I mean, he's matured mentally, and I believed in him. We've stuck with him. We believed in him and stuck with him, and he delivered for everybody.
I think you thought the heart issue, the heart question, was a valid one before the fight.
Well,
Simon.
I didn't think it was a valid one, but I thought it was a legitimate narrative. I don't think the heart question is any more relevant to Daniel Dubois than it was to Zerda Ramirez last week when David Benavidez knocked him and he went down on his knee twice. I think it's a narrative that gets seeded and people have to live with it. It started with Joe Joyce. It got replicated against Usyk a couple of times, and I think it's probably slightly unfair. I think it was a brilliant fight. I was there with Frank, and the atmosphere in the auditorium was fabulous. The fights underneath it, from Jack Rafferty through to Bradley Rhea, onto Zach Chelly, were all brilliant fights with some of them really surprising outcomes. But the performance of Daniel Dubois in that fight, overcoming a flash knockdown from Fabio Wardley that would have filled Fabio with a new or increased level of confidence, was all part and parcel of an intriguing tale. And the audience didn't know whether to cheer or to be concerned or to be the biggest cheers were when the referee waved the fight on a couple of times. But the audience were at times surprised at what they're watching. No one expected that, not Frank, not me, not any of this. It's always available to these heavyweight fighters to do this, but Daniel to be dropped inside 10 seconds. That was a jaw dropper. And then as the fight went on, it was always going to be, I think we always knew, and Frank can speak to this better than I can, that it was going to be a brutal fight because neither one of them was going to give an inch and someone was going to have to be battered into submission.
Yeah.
And that's what happened in the end.
Well, it was brutal and it was spectacular, Frank. What is the likelihood of us seeing it again for a second time?
Well, there is a rematch clause, but it won't happen for a while because it's going to take a long time. I sent Fabio a message yesterday. He's home now safely with his family, thank God. And he's got to recover. He's got to recover now, as has Daniel. Those fights take a lot out of you. And it's definitely a fight I suppose all the fans would like to see. Whether it happens or not, I don't know. But that's going to be down to Fabio and his team.
How is Fabio?
He had quite a few stitches, and as I say, he said he's obviously he's down because he got beat, but he gave a massively great account of himself, and now it's all about him spending time with his family and his new daughter. So that's what he'll do. And when time's right, we'll see.
Was he disappointed? And we got Ben Davison coming on tomorrow, because a lot of the noise will be, Frank, and you will appreciate this because you and I discussed it after the fight with Gareth, the idea of how long he stayed in there and whether Ben Davison was right or wrong. But was he disappointed in his performance? Because people will attribute the fact that he got very early success as maybe something that triggered a response to him, that he thought he could throw the right hand all night and do nothing else. Was he a little disappointed in the manner in which he performed? I mean, obviously he's going to be disappointed he bleeding lost, I know that, but in his performance, did you get any sense of that, mate?
I don't think so. I think both of them, they, as I say, they paid respects, and I think he would say on the night, the better man won. Yeah. Better man won. He's a pretty decent and honest person.
He is, yeah.
But he's dangerous, as we know. We've seen him do that to knockout in his last 3 fights. You think what he did with Joe Parker, with Hooney, Fraser Clark. I mean, he's a dangerous puncher. And that first round for any fighter, if you're not, when you get caught, especially on the top of the head, it absolutely, what's the word?
Disorientates, yeah.
Yeah, and disorientates, and it sort of takes a bit out. But Daniel recovered fairly well from that and came back. I thought he won the next round, and then the next round he went down, and I thought he went down. He sort of stumbled a bit and landed, but got back up, and and he got caught a few times in that fight. One thing about Daniel, he took better shots in that fight than he did against Usyk. I mean, he got hit with real solid punches. I mean, I don't think anybody can doubt that. And he gritted his teeth and did what he had to do, as did Fabio, who took a lot of punishment, Fabio, in that fight.
He did.
As you mentioned,
on that, Frank, he did take a lot of punishment. And questions are being asked, should Fabio Wardley have been pulled out of the fight earlier? Stan Dubois, father of Daniel, spoke to me earlier on that.
I wouldn't have allowed my boy to take such a beating like that. No way in the world. I would have got him out of there, I would have insisted that they stopped it. I was looking at it and I'm thinking, why are they doing that? Why don't someone stop it? Because he can get permanent damage. At least give him a chance to come back and fight another day.
Did the fight go on too long, Frank?
I've got to be honest, I will speak the truth on it. I think it did. But I know what the thought process behind them was the fact that what he did being behind with fights, both with Hooney and Parker, how he pulled it out of the bag. It was a 10th round, wasn't it, against Parker? He pulled it out and knocked him over. And as you could see, he was trying to throw that punch. But he didn't take the punishment in the Parker or Hooney fight as he did against Daniel. And Daniel is a phenomenal he's a phenomenal puncher. He's a big puncher. Yeah. Heavyweight. Having said that, Ben and the team, they're seasoned trainers and cornermen. They know what they feel they know what they're doing. But I think I would have pulled my man out.
Any criticism, Frank, that can be levied against the doctor or against the referee? I mean, Howard Foster's got former pill and pill that fight early in that George Groves Carl Froch fight 10 years ago. But can you think of any observations that you'd like to have seen the referee do something a little bit different, of a doctor maybe?
Well, for me, the doctors were much closer than I was to the fight. They examined him, and it wasn't one doctor; it was two, I think, wasn't it? Two doctors got up there, and it took a while with the examination they gave him, and allowed him to continue. And I think, with Howard, he obviously he called for the doctors, and I think, based upon their opinion, he allowed it.
He was looking for some help from the doctors, wasn't he?
Yeah, maybe he was.
I think Frank, it's fair to say these guys want to fight. That's what they do. Daniel Dubois wants to fight. Fabio Wardley wants to fight. It's what they do. But if you think it went on too long, and if the father of Wardley's opponent, Daniel Dubois, Stan Dubois, think it went on too long, surely it is a landmark night for the anti-boxing brigade.
No, it's not an anti landmark for the anti-boxing brigade. I mean, go and watch some of these MMA and these bare knuckle fights. It's a nuts thing. Look at some of the stuff they do, the bloody mess they get.
I know that, Frank, and I accept that. But if you think let's stick to boxing. If you think it went on too long, and Stan Dubois thought it went on too long, then the conversation would turn, would it not, to the anti-boxing brigade who are saying, well, there you are then. How on earth could that be allowed to happen?
Well, that's my opinion. There's other people got other opinions. And and they're entitled to their opinion. At the end of the day, the doctors examined them. And those doctors are qualified doctors. Me, I'm giving you my opinion, what I would have done, because I didn't think at that stage he could win the fight, because the punches, the right hand he was throwing was falling short most of the time. He caught him a couple of times, but if it had connected, who knows? He can whack. He's a big puncher. But I'm not going to turn this into an anti-boxing debate. I mean, that was a great night for boxing. It was a great show, a great night, and I don't want to go down that road. I don't see how that in any way will be an anti-boxing situation. If anything, everybody I've spoken to has said what a marvellous night and what a great fight it was. And remember, now he will have to go, before he fights again, Fabio, if he fights again, he's going to have to go through a lot of tests like a lot of boxers do. He'll go and have another MRI. He'll have to pass certain tests before he's allowed to box again.
Yeah, which would be right and proper. Does Moses Atoma enter the conversation anytime soon, Frank?
Moses Atoma is boxing on the 8th of August. We're announcing his opponent next Tuesday, and that's where we are. And it certainly won't be against Daniel Dubois. He'll be taking time out now after his fight.
Yeah. But at some stage along the line, are the two destined to meet?
Of course they are. I mean, of course they are. These are going to be another great domestic fight. No one's trying to keep anyone apart here. We're making these fights happen. We are making these fights happen all the time. And Moses is number one now in 3 organisations. So he's gonna fight for the world title this year. There's no doubt about that.
I mean, you had both fighters on Saturday night, Dubois and Wardley. You've got Moses Atoma. You're going to happily put all your eggs in one basket sooner or later, aren't you?
Well, that's what we do. I mean, no problem doing that. Done it over the years many, many times. I mean, you know, I can't tell you how many times we've done that, all the different fighters over the years. That's what we do. It's no problem with that. It's what these guys are signed up for. They signed with us because we're making the fights happen. There's no politics in between. They're with us and we make them happen. Probably Usyk's next fight will be against Aji Kabaya. Your WBC will order that after his fight in Egypt. So there's another good fight there. And there is a series of great fights to be made now. You know, Tyson's out against AJ, and that's again a big addition to the heavyweight scene. So there's some great fights to be made. British presence in it is amazing. The amount of Brits in the top 10 of the heavyweight division. So there's some great fights there. And I'll just say one thing: I think AJ's is a candidate to be elected into the Boxing Hall of Fame, 2-time world champion, which is a great achievement. If he's done that, they should certainly put Daniel Dubois in there now after he beat him.
Good point, Frank. All that in the weekend that Arsenal won the Premier League, did they not? What a time you're having!
I'm loving it. We had a treble because. It looks like with a bit of luck that with those local elections that we'll have something may happen to change the course of this country, the direction to go in. So I've had a right good day at racing. But Arsenal done well. It was a foul. There's a great photograph on the front of the Telegraph this morning with David Raya being with a guy's arm on it, and you see his shirt, his jersey being pulled from behind it. So it was what it was. And it's a bit, we've got a couple of big matches coming up. So we'll be there for Burnley, and then we're off to Budapest, got Crystal Palace, and hopefully we'll get a double.
Frank, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Frank Warren with his live. Real Madrid striker Kylian Mbappe, who has faced criticism from his own fans after taking a trip to Italy on a mega yacht with his partner. He's recovering from a hamstring injury he suffered on April the 24th and was given some days off last week. He arrived back in Madrid on Sunday, shortly before kick-off, when Madrid played away against Espanyol. Many fans thought Mbappe should not have taken a break and should have stuck with the team, going through a difficult time at this particular time. Alvaro Arbeloa said, well, in their free time, each player does what they see fit, and I don't get involved with that. Mbappe's representative said part of the criticism was based on an over-interpretation of elements related to a recovery period, strictly supervised by the club, without reflecting the reality of Kylian's commitment and the work that he puts in every day for the team. So that was Mbappe and Real Madrid. But then there's Liverpool. What was going on with them? Danny's old club. Liverpool captain Virgil van Dijk had to defend some of his teammates who were criticised for being abroad last week on a day off as they headed into the Manchester United game, a game they ultimately lost by 3-2. It was put to Van Dijk that some of his teammates had gone on holiday last week. He says, I'm not sure it was a holiday, it was a city trip. But I think if you're one day off and you don't have many days off, then you decide what you want to do with your family. We're not kids. Everyone's an adult. I wish we had a couple more days off at times because I think it works both ways.
Get ready to get that winning feeling with talkSPORT Win, because we're giving one lucky listener the chance to win a massive £25,000. Oh my God. Go to talksport.com/win to enter now, and you could win 25 grand in your hand, tax free.
Oh, that's incredible.
Get that winning feeling courtesy of talkSPORT Win.
Thank you very much.
Find out how to enter now at talksport.com/win.
So at 3 o'clock on Saturday down at the Amex, we were all taking our seats. And as I looked up, bang, Brighton were 1 up. 5 minutes later, thanks to Lewis Dunk, they were 2-0 up. They eventually won the game against Wolves by 3-0. But the fact of the matter was that Wolves had conceded twice in the first 5 minutes. Now, post-match, Rob Edwards, Wolves' boss, was pretty succinct about his players.
Some of them got to go. We're bottom of the league. It's been embarrassing. They've got to go. Yeah. What have I not been clear with that? There's still Premier League games to try to play, and we've obviously got to try and find a way to compete in that. And we'll continue to do it. We've got 2 more games, so suck it up, keep our head down, take the whatever we're going to have to take for the next couple of weeks, and then we can really get to work.
Simon, it was Wolves' 24th league defeat of the season. They've now conceded 66 goals, the second worst tally in the division. Burnley have conceded 71. And they were down and out very early on. Is it impossible for Edwards to not try to dress things up?
Well, there's nothing to dress up. I mean, I do recall him recently suggesting that there were some very good players in his squad and that the levels have been up. Now, obviously, it's a different narrative. In fairness to Rob Edwards, he's got to be judged by next season. His job was, he wasn't going to save Wolves. They were done. They were toast. He was just going to perhaps retain a little bit of dignity. And to some extent, he's done some of that because they could have been the worst ever team in the history of the Premier League, and he salvaged them from that indignation. But I don't think there's anything unfair in what he said. The players have been useless all season, and other managers have said it previously. We've had, I remember Martin O'Neill talking about some of the players that were in that dressing room that were giving it Billy Big Licks in terms of whether we got stand up. I think one of them was O'Doherty, wasn't he? It was having none of him, Martin O'Neill, about what he says and what he doesn't say. Yeah. And when it comes to saying it and rather than doing it, look, they need clearing out. There's players in there that have not been good enough all season, that have been blaming everyone else beside themselves, and they let the club down. And they'll sail off into the sunset and they'll be fine. Rob Edwards' task was always going to be to rebuild Wolves and get them back up the following season. It was never going to be to keep them in the Premier League, so you've got to give him that fairness.
He's under pressure, though, because there's a lot of booing at the game. I did watch the game, and it's interesting how Wolves sort of, as soon as they go behind in a game, they that's when they decide to turn up and put a performance in. But Brighton were just quite magnificent in the game. The goal they did concede, Lewis Dunk, is being marked by Gomez at the far post, and these are basics that you would look at the manager and say, hold on a minute, are we getting that right from set pieces?
I mean, Edwards is saying there some of these players have got to go. Now, you had a great career, but you'd won relegation, I think, with Aston Villa.
Correct.
When that came along, did you have serious consideration to make about your own future?
Of course I did. That when 12 players leave and 12 players come in, it's a revolving door. I could have taken, by the way, for those Villa fans who now look at me and think I turned my back on them 2 years later when we were secured back in the Premier League. So it's a difficult place to be. And you work out, when you're winning things, it's great, isn't it? But you learn more about people when you're losing. And Rob's he's in that boat now, and he knows he's going to have to create change. Who can I take on this journey to take that club back again? The first and foremost, he has to be backed as a manager. And it's looking so poor for him. And we were going to talk about Middlesbrough in a little minute. I questioned that, why he would want to jump. Middlesbrough was his story. I know Carrick could put 3 good years in there, the foundations of that football club. But Rob Edwards has made the wrong call. And now he's going to have to dig Wolves out of trouble. When you go down, it affects so many people within a football club. It's horrific.
I think Brighton made the right call with Ursula. He's got a new deal.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he does with players, but by God, Carlos Baeba, big talk about Manchester United. The lad strolled through the game. He was magnificent. Pascal Gross back for a second time.
Yeah, good timing.
Magnificent.
Senior player. Chelsea, take a look.
Yeah.
You've got to have senior players in the group. It was getting a bit fractious. Crowd.
Well, loving life.
What about Hinshelwood?
Excellent.
4th generation of Hinchewoods.
Yeah.
As footballers.
Yeah. Excellent.
By the way, what a performance. He's playing as a 10. He started as a fullback. So the manager sees things in the players, and I like the way that he finds another role.
Interesting, because there was some rumblings about people not having him. I think your mate Ian Hart's not a big fan of him. And here they are. They've corrected themselves. It's a wonderful place to be at Brighton because he didn't have much to fix. I mean, the team was going pretty well when he came in.
He's adjusted, though, in the way he is. He's not quite so full of himself. I sense that he loves his players.
I didn't think he was full of himself. I just thought he was a young manager that maybe something was lost in translation. I think he
lost 7-0 to Forest. Last season, I think when he didn't have a midfield player worthy of the name, I think then he was like the rules of football were being ignored. I can play this way. And now I think he's gone back to basics in a way.
You talk Paul Barber and those guys there, they'll tell you that he eats, sleeps and whatever else football. Him and his coaching staff live together like a frat house. And not that they're acting like
frat. Is that healthy?
Well, it seems to be working for them. And he's a very young manager with very different views and ambitions. And Brighton are better for him being there.
I think he expressed after the game, I think there was an issue with the kit man and I think it was a health issue family-wise. And I think he expressed that really well because I saw a different Fabian after the game the other day.
Well, I mean, after 5 minutes it was done at the weekend. Maybe not unsurprisingly with Wolves already gone, but Brighton still in there and still going for European spoils at the end of what's been a great season. In the playoffs, Spygate. Yes, remember Spygate all these years ago involving Derby County and Leeds United? It's reared its head again. Pass me my monocle because it's all happening again.
I'm going to go Friday after work pint, number 5, mate.
Number 5.
There he is. So do you want it? You ready?
Yeah, go on.
In number 5.
Number 5.
Friday after work pint. You've worked hard all week. You know, you want to go there, just have that first pint. You've earned it.
Number 4.
Beer garden pint. This can happen any time of day.
Good pint.
Any time, any day of the week. Yeah. Saturday afternoon, meet the lads. Sunday afternoon.
Good pint.
Right, sun's got to be
Number 3.
Football pint. The football pint's in. You meet your lads, meeting up Saturday afternoon or Sunday, whatever it is. First pint, in you go. Hey, we're going to get a beer again.
Yeah.
Number 2.
The holiday pint. Mr. O'Hara wants that one.
Yeah.
When you get there, you've done the journey. You've gone through everything you need to do. Passport, security checks, the journey. You get out, you smell, you feel a bit grubby. Don't care. You get on wherever you get to then you get to your destination. Bags get dropped. Sit there. You've earned this pint.
Yeah, it's a good pint.
Good pint.
That's my favourite.
There you go.
Number 1.
Yeah.
Airport. It's the only one, mate. Airport pint. It's the only one. You're there. It doesn't matter what time. Not with lads. No. Doesn't matter who you're with. If you're with me, 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, 3, wherever it is, that's the point.
Do you know what's disappointing in this whole, ranking that we've done?
Have I missed something?
Yeah, well, your missus. There's not one pint that involves your missus. Not one. Where's Hannah in this?
I'm at the airport with her.
No, you're not. You're not at the airport with her. You're with Razor Rudden.
No, hold on.
You're not.
Hold on.
Hannah's involved in none of these pints.
No, hold on. I'm at the airport with her, definitely. I'm definitely with a holiday pint. I'm definitely with football. I'm definitely not.
It was a VAR call that might have settled the title and relegation. Gabby Abonglahor isn't sure Callum Wilson's equaliser should have been disallowed.
We'll have a quick look at it and say, foul, 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 foul. It's chaos in the box, the goal stands, because there's so many fouls going on. Okay, if Pablo fouls the goalkeeper, what about Declan Rice, who rugby tackles Mavropanos? Okay, is it a penalty?
After a 5-minute delay, it was decided. Pablo's arm across Raya meant Arsenal held on to beat West Ham. The Hammers could be 4 points from safety if Spurs beat Leeds live on talkSPORT tonight. Meanwhile, it's in Arsenal's hands now. Is that title wrapped up? Perry Groves.
It's not done and dusted. Obviously, there's 2 games to go with Burnley at home and Palace away. But let's be honest, that was I think the defining game of Arsenal's Premier League season.
Now, several Championship clubs are checking their CCTV for Southampton spies. They've not contested a charge after someone was caught filming Middlesbrough training, with the Saints hosting Borough in the Championship playoff semi-final tomorrow night. Also at 0-0, Hull go to Millwall, live on talkSPORT 2 tonight. Elsewhere, Marcus Rashford's keeping his cards close to his chest on his next move, but has called his stunning free kick to help Barcelona beat Real Madrid and wrap up the La Liga title the perfect way to end. And Norway's Christopher Reitan's picked up his first PGA Golf Tour victory at the Truist Championship. Alex Fitzpatrick, who had been leading the event heading into the final day, eventually ended 4th.
We mentioned the playoffs. Well, it is that time. Both Championship playoff semi-final first legs ended in goalless stalemates. Hull 0, Millwall 0. They go again, of course, tonight. That's live on talkSPORT 2. And that's before Southampton welcome Middlesbrough tomorrow night. And that's live on talkSPORT. That one goalless, as I say, as well. Now, as for that second one, Southampton-Middlesbrough, the build-up and fallout has been dominated by another case of Spygate, with Southampton being charged on Friday evening by the EFL for a breach of regulations after a member of staff was alleged to have spied on Middlesbrough's training ahead of their playoff tie. It gets more and more intriguing when you look into this. CCTV footage has been studied by Middlesbrough. The alleged perpetrator has been identified. He's said to be an analyst on Southampton's website and has worked for the club for more than a year. The spy had professional surveillance equipment complete with a microphone to record voices and technology to live stream the footage back to someone watching remotely. Now, a brief physical confrontation ensued when a member of Middlesbrough's media team challenged the man, who refused to identify himself and then ran off. The man ran into the clubhouse next to the training ground and changed into new clothes from a hidden holdall. This is phenomenal stuff. Middlesbrough have since been told by whistleblowers that this is not the first time a member of Southampton's analyst team has been sent to record opposition training sessions this season. Now, at the end of the first game, both managers were questioned about this. Borough boss Kim Hellberg was pretty definitive in his view.
It's a weird situation. Couldn't believe my eyes or ears when I heard it. Couldn't believe it when he told me for the second time or the third. It was quite clear that they tried day and with day. Again, I'm not putting anything on the players or supporters of Southampton. I think they are brilliant, unbelievable. They have nothing to do with it, and I sometimes feel sorry for them because they get thrown this in the face. But if someone makes decisions to go and try to cheat, that's clear. And it will be interesting to see what happened with that. To be fair, when we're talking about, I've seen some talking about that it's not a big advantage because you can see the games on films, but it's a massive advantage. It's weird to say that, to be fair, because it should be handling about that decision to try to get those big advantages. You can just took the game today, for example. We've never used that shape that we did in the first half. That was impossible to know. Whatever game you watch, Hammarby or Värnamo or Middlesbrough, set plays, how you sort up, goal kicks, it's just unfair.
Unfair. So Middlesbrough are saying, look, it's a massive advantage. In fact, it's cheating. So then we heard from Southampton boss Tonda Eckert, who was none too happy about being pushed on it.
Said more than enough to that. I know that the questions keep coming up. The club has made a statement yesterday evening, and that's all there is to say at the moment. Look, I've said this a couple of times now. I know that the questions keep coming up, but I think these games now that come up at this point of the season, they belong to the players.
Yeah, and I think it's been clear. There's been answered as much as I'm going to say. No, it's been quite clearly said that this.
He hasn't answered.
No, let me finish. Let me finish.
Can you tell us when you first?
Let me finish. We've quite clearly said, made a statement yesterday, there's no further comment at this stage. Tonda's answered it 2 or 3 times, been quite reasonable, and has said that there'll be nothing more to say.
He hasn't answered.
He has said, we've answered it, we've made a statement yesterday, there's nothing more to say. Been quite clear. If anyone would like to ask any more questions ahead of Tuesday's game, feel free, otherwise we'll finish.
Can we ask what punishment the club is expecting from the ESL?
The answer is going to be exactly the same. Exactly the same.
Your statement is a holding statement which says nothing.
It says we cannot make any further comment at this time.
Are you accepting that the spying actually happened?
Any more questions about Tuesday night's game?
Would you not like to offer reassurance to support?
Thanks very much, everyone. Thank you.
Well, I mean, the questions were never going to stop, were they? They'll just keep coming. Is it cheating, Simon? If it's proven that they did it?
Well, it was defined by the rules as cheating, isn't it? I mean, clearly back in 2019 when it happened between Derby and Leeds, Bielsa just coughed to it straight away and said, and what about it?
That's right.
And they got a fine. But that was, as Martin pointed out to me earlier on, that was earlier on in the season, not directly before the game that you were playing. And that was, they were playing one another, but they were playing in January rather than a playoff game. The rules provide for a series of scenarios. One of them is a sanction around finances. The other is points. But the other is points based upon repeat offences. That's why people are going to start suggesting that they're recidivists. They do this all the time. That's why the whistleblowers, or whoever they are suggesting this is a standard fare for Southampton. It's disappointing because I think it's a little bit more like it's bad form, gentlemen. I think it's a little bit more than realistically speaking that it's a massive advantage in the game because you've still got to be able to adjust to the game. You've still got players that can overcome one another and still many things to be done that are far more in the territory of cheating. I think it's bad form. is more likely scenario. But the rules provide for fines. Of course, Middlesbrough have got a baked-in excuse now, because if there is somehow an outcome that doesn't go their way, which of course would be a 0-0 draw at the Riverside. It'd be interesting to see what Steve Gibson's got to say. Steve doesn't say very much in public, but it'd be interesting to see how outraged he is. But it's not a great look. I really like this Southampton manager. I really like him. I like the way he's engaged with the media over the last 6 months. I like the performance of his team. They've been remarkable. This is background noise you don't need. It's what you wonder how prevalent this is in football, because foreign coaches seem to think that it's actually de rigueur. Bielsa was like, yeah, what?
And so what? Yeah.
That's what we do.
I mean, look, there are reports that this Middlesbrough training ground is open to the public. So I'm not sure what constraints there are around.
Yeah.
Oh, clearly, though, they are trying to seek an advantage.
Yeah, but one thing being open to a public, it's another thing to put a live stream on there.
Well,
yes,
exactly that. So, I don't like it. It would give you that energy. It would give you the fuel. It would give you the fuel, wouldn't it, to, as Middlesbrough did, actually. I mean, Middlesbrough totally dominated the game.
But they drew 0-0.
And they drew 0-0. Yeah. Now they have to go to Southampton. So there's a lot of bad blood in this one because of this situation. I'm not sure who the person is, where that's going to end up. But a heavy fine seems to me to be the order of the day. You wouldn't want to see them thrown out of the competition.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is the thing. I mean, the rules. I mean, this is a real bugger's muddle for the EFL. I mean, they can't often find their backsides with funnel through situations anyway. So when they've got a situation now where it says, potentially, if they're repeat offenders, I don't know if it's against the same team, but if they're repeat offenders, which is why you've got the whistleblowers going, they do it regularly, because it builds that case. What do? You can't deduct points. This ain't a points issue. This is the playoff semi-final. You're potentially throwing them out of opportunity to go and get £200 million worth of revenue.
Well, this is it.
So, yeah, all right then. Let's see what the EFL are going to do with that one.
Well, that's right.
You'd like to see, and with all due respect to the component parts, and much as I like Trevor and I like Rick, you'd like to have them this problem, which is we've got evidence they've done it about 20 times, right? And then put the EFL right in that. What are you going to do now then? What are you going to do now then? Because they are repeat offenders.
Martin, with you here, I'll put it to you. Say you're a member of the Southampton squad.
Yeah.
And whatever footage was fed back, allegedly, via the surveillance equipment.
It's a bit embarrassing, though.
And they sit you down and say, right, we got this. Them in the bibs against them without the bibs. This is... Are you gaining an advantage? Are you watching that thinking, I'll take... All right, I see where they're playing him and I see what he might do.
Yeah, but I'll take it on face value. Kim Hellberg has said that they did something in that game that they've never done before this season. And I get it. Set pieces, Jim, you talk about the Premier League, how important they are. All these things, if you know someone, the areas they're going into, it's really key. It does. You're trying to seek an advantage here.
So it could help them.
But I didn't actually. I've looked back through the formations and I've only seen one player change. I haven't seen a change of system, really. I haven't watched it. I've just looked at footage. I've looked at the Y Scout, which gives you all that stuff, which all the clubs look at. And I'm sure he's not making it up. But they didn't take advantage of their home game, Jim. All said and done, I hope it has to be a sideshow to motivate you, but don't let it distract you on what's happening.
It'd be interesting to see how long the fella was there for, first and foremost, because if he was there for 5 minutes...
He changed clothes, apparently,
someone
didn't
popped
he?
it. Well, he went off to change clothes, didn't he? He had availability of changing into an alternate set of clothes, didn't he? The fact is I mean, Christ, what we listen to, the Saint here, this is Mission Impossible. But the idea that he might have been there for 5 or 10 minutes.
It left us Miss Marple.
But they won't. But I would be very surprised if what they were actually doing is streaming it back to Southampton players to watch it, or using the footage they got. What the coaching staff would be was veiled of certain things, and then they would represent it as, we think they're going to set up like this, we think they're going to do that and the other, rather than showing the bloody players a video of the
but if he's done it,
players training.
But I'm thinking, if he's done it there, where else has he done it?
Well, that's the allegation.
And they've been on an incredible run.
That's the allegation.
I wonder what the Southampton, but I know Dragon Solak very well, and he's a good fella.
Yeah,
the owner. I wonder what his thought. What would you have thought, Simon, had you not been notified of this? That someone from your backroom staff had paid your next playoff opponent a visit and had done exactly this.
I would have said, why'd you get caught?
You'd have funded it.
Couldn't we have done it from a distance with a zoom or something?
Yes. Why did you wear a trench coat and a monocle?
Yeah, why did you wear some squad wear?
Yeah, not to worry. We'll see what happens. The best thing Middlesbrough can do is go out and beat them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they've got the opportunity to turn around and say, and this is the reasons why we didn't.
Anyway, we'll continue to watch over Spygate with great relish, as it no doubt will continue. That one's tomorrow night. Millwall Hull is tonight. We're...
Jason Cunny was alongside Jeremy Horror on the Sports Bar after the game. He said he can see Arsenal shutting PSG down in the final.
Teta will not allow a basketball match. He won't. He won't.
Is it going to be a tactical defence then?
No, it won't be tactical defence, but I think that Arsenal, they're measured. Arsenal control games. They don't... Now, Arsenal are brilliant at doing that. They can be at times dull to watch because of that, but in a one-off game, who cares? I think Luis Enrique would probably want it being more open affair. I don't think Arteta will allow it.
Not the game we were expecting last night. You pointed out there, I said over 4.5 goals. I did think they're a bit well done to PSG and Luis Enrique for shutting out the game.
Yeah.
I mean, that proved there's another side to them, right?
Yeah, they can dig in when they need to. I mean, it helps they've got wonderful footballers, and I guess when you get a goal so early after 3 minutes with that attacking front line, it doesn't make the job easier, but when you've got the pace of Kvaratskhelia and Dembele, Doué can run, you've got Vitinha in the middle of the park, it does help the fact that you could just sit in there and defend, because it's counter-attack, no one's catching you. You're being behind them. So, yeah, it's gonna be fascinating now to see what happens in the final. PSG was probably the team I didn't want. I'd prefer Bayern, but now it's PSG. You've got to go out there and put a performance in. It's going to be difficult, and I've said it before. I think Arsenal, to win this fixture, potentially may have to be perfect in terms of they might have to put in the best performance they've ever put in under Mikel Arteta in any competition.
Is that the only way you can see Arsenal winning, by playing the best they've ever played?
I think they're going to have to think defensively. They're going to have to be rock solid. No,
they are pretty much like that anyway.
Yeah, but there's still times you give it. Like if you give that sort of opportunity to Dembele, he ain't missing that.
No, you're right.
Get ready to get that winning feeling with talkSPORT Win, because we're giving one lucky listener the chance to win a massive £25,000. Oh my God. Go to talksport.com/win to enter now, and you could win 25 grand in your hand, tax free.
Oh, that's incredible.
Get that winning feeling courtesy of talkSPORT Win.
Thank you very much.
Find out how to enter now at talksport.com/win.
Now then, we're giving you the chance to win big, win 25 grand. That's pretty big. Get your entry in now. For your chance to win, head to talksportwin.com or text WIN to 83338. Text and online entries cost £2.50 plus your standard network rate. The number to call is 0343 418 7260. Entries must be in by May the 18th. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. Don't bother if it doesn't. 18 plus, UK residents only. It's a network promotion. Full terms and conditions at talksportwin.com. Spygate. We're in the jaws of Spygate. Wow. On the Spygate issue, who has sent this in? No name in it. How naive of Simon and Martin saying it has little advantage. So if the game goes to penalties...
We didn't say that.
And Southampton now know who the penalty takers are... Is that not a huge advantage?
Of course, we didn't say that.
Nobody said that.
We said that. We said
actually cheating boys.
Yes, we said that.
We should actually stress the point how important set pieces are right now. So if you've got that information before you start the game, you've got every chance of stopping them from scoring.
Right. That the sender of this message says, maybe it's me included, it's disappointing that you all find it so funny. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens if A, it's proven, and B, what punishment is taken. We'll see.
Well, that's us suitably reprimanded by someone that doesn't have an ear trumpet.
Here we go. Liverpool and Chelsea met at the weekend, and it was a goal apiece, and it was a point apiece. Is the Anfield crowd continuing to turn, though, on Arne Slot, or can he win back the Liverpool faithful? Just last Wednesday, Danny Murphy finished off this show very strongly by saying, well, the Liverpool fans I know, and they're all diehards, have given up on Slot, and it's time to go. Arne Slot was asked if he feels he can win those disaffected Liverpool fans back.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Not this season, by the way. This season they will have their opinion and it will not change. But if we can have the summer that we are planning to have, then I'm 100% convinced that we will be a different team next season than we are now. Different in terms of results, different in how things look. But it's not always that simple, because sometimes you know what you have to do, but it's not always possible to also get exactly what you want. But for us, for me, it's really clear what we are lacking this season.
Well, the boos rang out, Martin, at full time, and many of the Liverpool fans, Simon, are not having them any longer. One wonders what he's going to do now, or if he has any time left to do what he wants to do and win them back round.
He won the Premier League last year, Jim. He's to be given more time, but they seem to have lost their way a little bit. I thought when he went there initially...
More than a little bit, though, Martin.
Yeah, but when he went there initially, like, it was very... I used to say crazy Klopp, but I really like the energy that he got going, you know, that heavy metal tune that they used to sort of dance to. They came back from that a little bit and it was more managed, whereas this year they've not got to that boiling point again. They don't play with that same fever. And also as well, with Slot, you have to understand, don't you, as Jurgen Klopp did, you have to understand the people of Liverpool and what they want, what their expectations are. And sometimes he's not in line with the expectations of that football club. I think he should be given time, though, for next season to bounce back. It's been a nightmare in terms of their recruitment, the front of the team. I think they've got worse this year. At the weekend, they're playing another fullback, midfield player, out of position fullback. That can't be right at a club of that size. Alexander-Arnold being allowed to leave, really, they got that wrong. The Salah situation, maybe they kept the wrong player as an iconic figure. You know, so maybe they've not negotiated themselves through that situation. But when it all settles down, they get Isak back on the pitch, they get Ekitike back, but they need to buy again, Jim. They spent a hell of a lot of money, and they haven't reached. It's been a poor attempt at defending their title. You can't hide from that.
So it's not irretrievable.
I mean, Danny is the one that's suggesting that it is irretrievable. I mean, listen, the reasons why fans won't change their minds because he's given them little reason to do so this season. I think he has the currency, and it should be right that he has the currency to have won the Premier League. He should be given an opportunity to correct the malaise that he in part has created. One of the ways to do it is to smash Aston Villa and make sure they don't take your place, because you've got them coming up next, and to beat Brentford at home, send the season off with a happy ending, so that you're in the Champions League and they can't have that stick to bash you with. So that's one of the ways you do it, Arnie. Go and make sure that the last two games, one of your against your major rivals that are going to try and take your spot at fourth in the league.
It's on the line, though, isn't it? Because Villa at home. If you see the performance they played in Europe in midweek,
it was absolutely. So those are the two opportunities for him to address some of the issues. Been a poor season, and he's been responsible for it. You can make all the noise about Isak's lack of availability.
What I will say, Simon,
or Ekitike not maybe been lost about 2 weeks ago. But other than that, look at the way they've played a lot of the time this season. Look at how they've set up, the way that they've played, the fact that he didn't control the Salah situation properly. The whole raft of things that have gone on at that football club. Andy Robertson hasn't been playing, and Kirkis hasn't been good enough. The team has lost some degree of cohesion. There's been some good performances out there from Szoboszlai and a few of those. Virgil van Dijk hasn't been at his same level. There's been a whole raft of things.
Wirtz has come nowhere near it.
Yeah, Wirtz has been nowhere near it, absolutely.
Not the same player. I think, though, I would take Liverpool's fixtures, Jim, all day long over Villa's, because Liverpool, if you look at Villa, they've got to play, obviously. They play at home to Liverpool. They play Freiburg in the Europa League. And 3 days later, they go to Man City. What sort of condition will they be in for that? But they look like they'll be still trying to get that fifth place.
I remember at the time saying to Danny, well, with Isak and with Wirtz and this Ekitike, I can't see Liverpool losing many games in the Premier League. They've lost 11, Martin. They've won 17, and yet they sit fourth. At the end of the day, as Danny said yesterday, leaving the studio, some of the diehards have made their minds up, and they won't change.
Yeah, but when you're distributing, you've only got so much to spend. And you spend all that money on two front players, it leaves you on balance.
Yeah.
No centre back coming into the. I mean, Gahey was a player that was taking his medical, Jim.
Yeah.
And never actually went there. So you got to look at where you're recruiting and the positions you need. And now they probably need somebody right across the board.
Yeah.
And we're wondering about the goalkeeper now. Is he going to be fit enough to proceed? You need a central defender to come in there to make it more difficult. You need and midfield
To
needs
get the
something.
fans back on side, he's got to produce a team that's producing better outcomes in front of the home fans.
I think so. As simple as. Martin, only one thing to ask you as we leave this lunchtime. Was this the weekend Arsenal won the Premier League?
Time will tell.
There you go. Arsenal Invincible, Martin Keown with us. Simon, see you tomorrow at 10.
You will.
1 o'clock this Monday lunchtime.
Let me apologise immediately if there's any smugness or glee from my co-host today. But you are used to Alex Crook by now. But Gabby Agbonlahor is also very happy. Put your cigar down. Great performance. Well done. Congratulations.
Very much, thank you.
Do you reckon you could manage to be just a little bit humble because, you know, you haven't won anything?
Yeah, we haven't won anything yet, but, you know, Nottingham Forest fans, last Friday, the messages you were reading out, Sam, the callers, the direct messages on every possible social media platform I was getting, celebrating the fireworks. They had a